New.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Complex at Titans Training Camp. Junie Riddle filling in for Caroline and Willy, and we got D-Mase here as always. Nick Frazier back at the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studio. Guys, happy first day at training camp. How we doing?
Hey, we're doing wonderful. Nice day outside. We get a nice breeze here, but it's still hot as fish grease out here.
It is hot as fish grease out here, D-Mase, but I'll tell you this. This cloud, the clouds overshadowing the sun right now is a blessing from above.
Oh, absolutely.
Because without it and without this breeze, I personally don't know what I would be doing. I think I'd be melting like Frosty the Snowman out here.
Yeah, it's a tad bit hot, but this is nothing but football weather right here.
Absolutely.
Junie, and you got to love it. It's good for the conditioning. But we're here at Titans practice, first practice of the year, right before the season gets started. Practice is over with now. They're in the huddle, and I'm sure Vrabel is giving them a lot of, talking points and whatnot. So, I'm sure it was a good first day for a lot of the guys, just to sort of work out the kinks, work out some of those bugs, and for the rookies to get that rookie jitter out of you, even though the rookies were here prior to the veterans come, but the atmosphere, the tone of the practice changes once the veterans come into the building. So I know those rookies were trying to work off a little bit of those butterflies.
Yeah, 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We want you to text in your questions all day long about what we saw here at training camp. And D-Mase, I will tell you this. I came in today knowing that they were going to be in shorts and jerseys, no pads. So I wanted to really kind of hone in on the offense, quarterbacks and wide receivers in particular, because, it is really hard to kind of see what the defensive guys can do at this point in time until, pads can come on and we can hear some popping out on the field. So, offensive line I also got to look at as well, and some interesting things, some interesting spots about who was filling in some starting lineups today. So we're going to get into all of that. Arden Key will come over here as soon as practice is let out. They're sitting out in the middle of the field meeting as a team right now, waiting to break. And we also have Ryan Tannehill and Kevin Byard coming up in the press conference, and you will hear that right here on our airways as well.
Yes. Again, I would love to hear what Arden Key has to say with his first practice, full practice with the Tennessee Titans. See how he's taken to the defense. Because, again, it's different, when you're in mini camps and then coming to training camps. The vibe, the feel, everything, the tempo is just so different. So I would love to see what his first day experience was like here with the Tennessee Titans.
And I'll tell you this, DeAndre Hopkins spoke to the media yesterday and made a couple comments about the narrative about him not practicing. And first day of training camp, guess what? He's out here. He's doing all the drills. And one of the first plays that I saw that Tannehill was making passes to with his receivers, I believe it was in some 7-on-7 stuff, first play was DeAndre Hopkins for a first down. I mean, it seems like already they are trying to start building that connection to see where they can kind of go with things and really grow to get the most out of this offense. Because we know with that addition, it's really going to change the dynamic of what this team is going to look like.
Yeah, it changes everybody's role on the offense from a pass-catching standpoint. Now you have a bona fide pass catcher. Now how will he sort of immerse himself into this offense and in his playbook, even though he does know this playbook somewhat because he's been in it before, but I'm sure there are some changes in there that Tim Kelly has made, and he will sort of implement those changes, and it's up to D-Hop to get himself up to speed. So there we go.
All right, so Arden Key has just sat down with us. So the brand new outside linebacker, free agent this year that we got from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Arden, how was the first day of training camp today?
Oh, man, it was a good day today.
We was high on energy today. It was a little hot, but we got through it.
The clouds are a blessing, right?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
It can't be Jacksonville high.
Oh, no, the sun wasn't out, but it is humid out here.
Yeah. So Arden, I got to ask you, man. You know, you come from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your role last year was more of the rotation kind of guy. I feel like your role is going to be a little bit more expanded here on this defense. Can you kind of talk about how excited you are to get that opportunity?
Oh, man, I'm excited because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity I've been looking for the last 2 years, and I finally got it, so now I have to capitalize on it.
So playing guys on this defense, we know this defense likes to play at a high level. What is it like being out there with guys like Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard, knowing that you're probably, you know, if this team stays healthy, that you could be playing with one of the better defenses in the league this year?
It's great. I mean, last year they was in the top 5 categories in all categories on defense. So it's good for me to come in and just add on to it, not build anything or create anything. I'm just here to add on to it, and it's good to be around guys like Jeffrey, who is similar to me as far as Energizer Bunny and just being energetic and talking jump. So yeah.
We're talking with Arden Key, the new Tennessee Titans outside linebacker. Now, what is there any difference in regards to sort of the speed and the style of play? You know, from Jacksonville to here, because watching Jacksonville, they were very aggressive. A bunch of young guys running around making plays, and you guys had a, you know, really good defense last year. So is there any similarities or is there any differences?
It's different. It's a difference. Tennessee reminds me of San Fran.
Mm-hmm.
Front seven take over.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It starts with the front seven, and it's going to end with the front seven. So that's the similarity in the defense here today.
Okay. Now, what is it about Shane Bowen that makes this? Because when he was, you know, put here as the actual defensive coordinator, this defense started to turn around. This defense started to become more aggressive. And as you said, that front seven became a dominant front seven in this league. So what is it about Shane Bowen?
I think he knows that to be a great defense, you got to have a great front seven. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at the past teams that won the Super Bowl, that made it there, it's all about the defense. It's all about the front seven. The front seven come alive, then 9 times out of 10, that team wins that Super Bowl. So, and then before the DC, he was the outside linebacker coach. So he know real well how the front seven supposed to look and how it is.
So last year, Arden, you made some big plays against this Titans offense, and we know that one of the weak points of this team last year was its offensive line. Coming into camp and being on the team this year and lining up with some of these tackles that you're going against, what are you actually seeing from some of these guys, and are you hopeful that they can kind of take that next step and improve from last year?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's always the front seven. We feel like if we beat them every day in practice, they'll get better. They'll get better because this is one of the top front sevens in the NFL right now. I'm speaking it right now. It's one of the top defenses in the NFL, and I feel like if we keep attacking them, they're going to get better.
Now, you mentioned it, and I've heard from other people. This is my first day out here at practice, so I haven't seen it until today. But are you going to be the Energizer Bunny of this defense? Are you trying to compete every single day to make sure you're out shouting some of these older veterans that have been here for a while?
Definitely. I mean, it's really not a competition to me. I'm just being me. That's just me. On the field and off the field, you're going to hear me before you see me, like I always say. And it's not a competition with who's going to be the Energizer Bunny. That's just me, and I guess just being me, I took on that role, so now I'm here.
Now, you said there's a lot of similarities in what you guys did in San Fran to what you guys doing here in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans. But each stop along your way in your career, what have you picked up that you brought here to the Tennessee Titans?
The mindset. Everything started in practice. I mean, we can't go out here and just show up on game day. You got to apply the work out here on the football field and just study. And then it was the film as well. Studying the film, learning how to study your opponent, learning what their weaknesses is and what their strength is, and then attack the weakness.
Now, I know it's the first day, but what do you think of this Tennessee Titans offense? And like you said, listen, if you guys go out and do what you need to do from a defensive standpoint each and every practice, you're going to make this offense better because you consider, especially this front seven, as one of the best front sevens in the National Football League.
Yeah, I like the offense. Just coming from spring up until now, it has gotten better, a whole lot better, actually. I feel like the offense, they're gelling now. Everything is coming in. At first, it was early. It was new. Everything was new. Had a new OC. stuff like that. But now everything is gelling, and I like where we headed.
So one of the last questions I want to get to you, Arden, before you got to go. What was it that brought you here to Tennessee? Was it that relationship with Rand Carthon back from San Francisco? Was it Mike Vrabel, playing your position in the past, being the head coach? What was something that lured you here to go to the division rival after playing in Jacksonville?
All those aspects. And then I don't think a lot of people remember, but I came here for the 30 visit coming out of college, coming and getting drafted. I came here, talked to Mike, and this was one of the teams that I wanted to get drafted to. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and it's funny how things come back around.
Absolutely. That's Arden Key, everybody, outside linebacker, new addition from free agency. Arden, thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us today. Best of luck the rest of training camp.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That was Arden Key again, everybody. Coming up next, Derek and I are going to get into the sights and sounds of what we saw from training camp. Again, we are going to have Ryan Tannehill and Kevin Byard speaking at the podium later. You can hear that right here. So stick with us here on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
What a stop by UC Sarah.
Then he wouldn't end up on my team.
Driving his way to victory lane.
I think that's the right strategy.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's nobody on the planet who's as picky when it comes to diamonds as Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
I'm very, very selective on the diamond that I pick.
Indeed, Boaz will look at 2,000 diamonds on the world market and find maybe 2 or 3 that meet his criteria.
What most people don't know, and even jewelers, a diamond has much more than the 4 C's.
Its symmetry, even the diamond's own DNA or X-ray report, which most jewelers don't even know about.
I refuse to sell diamonds that don't go through our very, very strict criteria.
Which means a Genesis diamond is one she can be proud to wear, with the most sparkle and brilliance and real intrinsic value.
This is my goal, to go all over the world and find only the best hand-selected diamond.
Genesis Diamonds, setting the highest quality standards in the jewelry business. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Check, check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
Calling a criminal defense lawyer or a divorce lawyer, you may think it's the worst day of your life. It doesn't have to be. If you have quality, competent representation who can guide you through a complex system, we can do that for you. Despite if you've been arrested for a DUI or a robbery charge, whether or not you're going through a divorce or a post-divorce, or demanding your fundamental constitutional right to parent your children. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Joyland in East Nashville. Joyland is a fun new concept by celebrity chef Sean Brock, inspired by his love for cheeseburgers, shakes, buttermilk biscuits, fries, and fried chicken. Get half off a $30 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals and enjoy the best burger in town. Find some joy today and eat Joyland for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. That's thegamenashville.com/deals.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What was your visit with Ryan like in that regard when you came in, and how much are you looking forward to working with him?
Ryan came, him and his wife, they came and met me and Rand when we were out. So that said a lot about him right there. Just wanting to come in and talk to me, hang out with me. We kicked it off right away.
That was DeAndre Hopkins talking about Ryan Tannehill and his wife, meeting up with him when he came about a month ago on his visit when he was doing his free agency tour. And guess what, D-Mase? On the first play, these two connected on a first down in the 7-on-7 drills. So seeing D-Hop out here getting a lot of looks, you can already tell that Tannehill is going to make an emphasis building a relationship with this guy, and I love it. I think that, the addition of D-Hop just bumps down the lineup of receivers to a point where everybody fits where they're supposed to and not having to fill a role that's a little bit over their head. So seeing that and seeing them already try and work and build their chemistry is something that I'm really glad to see on day one here at training camp.
Yeah, I'm sure, Ryan's going to try to, especially in practice, just try to get the ball to him as much as possible. Why? Because you want to build that rapport with him. You want to get comfortable with throwing him the football. You want him to get comfortable with catching footballs from you, knowing where he likes the ball or knowing where you want him to be in particular situations on particular plays. So I'm sure you're going to see much more of that in camp just to sort of build up that rapport, because you got to remember he just signed a couple of days ago. He didn't have the luxury of being in mini camps, and he didn't have the luxury of throwing with Ryan Tannehill over the summer. So you're going to have to make up all of that during these during these training camps.
Another thing that I saw, and this was to kick off practice after they got done with their stretching lines, was, they kind of all went into their individual drills, offensive line with the defensive line, receivers, tight ends. Everybody was spread out around the field. But right here over where they do the press conference on, 50 yards, the Ryan Tannehill in particular was sitting with Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins, kind of going through some route concepts, just the three of them individually. And in that, you saw DeAndre Hopkins kind of, giving some tips to Treylon, kind of telling him, how they can feed off of each other. And you could tell him that, that he was kind of going through and showing him a few things. And he had mentioned that in his press conference as well about how he can come in and impact the rest of the receivers here. For you, being a former player and being a former receiver, you were typically the number one guy here when you played for the Titans. Mm-hmm. Did you ever do something like that for somebody when you were here?
Yeah, I had once I became a starter on this team, I felt it was my responsibility to make sure that those younger guys, even some of the older guys, saw the work ethic, saw me going out there and giving it 100% every practice. When I'm in practice, when I'm in between those lines, it's business, and the younger guys saw that. And then what you do in the classroom and how well you are prepared once you come out of those classrooms. I think those are the things that stick with the younger guys. You can talk about a lot and how you're going to be a mentor or a good example, but if you're just talking and not showing it, that's more detrimental than anything. So I think D-Hop is a guy that's going to come in and show, that show these younger guys how to work and when he's practicing, how to practice, and how to watch film and how to just truly be a professional in this league.
So I saw a bit about he was making a catch and it was towards the sideline that Ryan hit him, and it was highly contested. I think it was Sean Murphy-Bunting that was on him, and he got hit pretty hard. And again, these guys aren't in pads, so they're being a little bit of a shove. And after he had caught the ball, and I feel like on a normal play, it might have been a drop, but we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins here, one of the better receivers in the league. It really got the offense hyped up. And I felt like in a lot of the drills, that we're going to see throughout training camp, the defense is going to get the best of this offense because clearly they're the better unit. Seeing him and him kind of being that rallying cry for this offense, what can it do for the rest of the offense knowing that you got a guy like that can go out there and make those physical plays and make those big plays when necessarily the look of the defense isn't there?
I think it energizes the offense. I think it brings that level of comfort to the offense, knowing that, in situations, like that, contested catches or when things seem a little bit muddy out there, that you have a guy that has proven, he can make the catch. He's a big-time player. He's a guy that has been able to show up in moments in his career that a lot of other guys just hadn't been able to do. So when you bring that type of experience, when you bring that type of dog mentality, or like Rand Carthon said, that wolf mentality, then, it's always going to be an energizer for the team. Because, again, that Top doesn't seem like a rah-rah guy. He doesn't seem like a guy that's he's not an Arden Key, let's say that.
Yeah. He's more to himself.
Exactly. But
Lead by
he's
example.
a guy that is just going out. He's going to go out there and he's going to get the work done. And you watch him, and and you're going to learn just by watching him. He doesn't have to say a word.
So I know that DeAndre Hopkins has kind of taken the spotlight with his signing, but one of the bigger narratives going into this camp is going to be the backup quarterback battle to start the year. I think from what we're seeing right now, it's, Ryan Tannehill is clear and cut the starter. He's been here, and I don't think that that's going to change leading up to the start of the season at least. But, a lot of reports were coming out about how Malik Willis was outperforming Will Levis when it came down to minicamp, about a month ago. And today, you and I both collectively, without even speaking to each other, saw that Will Levis looked a lot more improved and that he outperformed Malik Willis today. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he had some good throws. Will Levis did. But you want to see him build on that, moving forward. Now, Malik Willis, he should be ahead of Levis, at this point in camp or in career, because he's been here before. He knows the offense. He's familiar with what Tim Kelly or Mike wants to see at the quarterback position. So he should be a little bit ahead of him. But, Will Levis looked good today. He made some really good throws. I didn't quite see what they were doing from an individual standpoint, the quarterbacks, when they were just throwing the ball around. But from what I've seen in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, Will Levis looked good. You want him to build on that. I think Malik Willis had his moments. He looked good too. But again, you want him to, sort of feel what's going on. You want him to anticipate, continue to work on that anticipation as a quarterback. Because in this league, you got to throw guys open. In this league, a half a yard is open.
Yeah.
So it's not college anymore. And he understands that, but you got to have that mental clock going on in your head. And you got to understand that, listen, I got to get the ball. I got to anticipate. That's why myself and the receiver need to be on the same page as far as what we're seeing from the defense.
And that's what I feel like Malik Willis, struggles in. To kick off the practice, I had mentioned how Ryan Tannehill and DeAndre and Traylon were all together. In the following segment, the quarterbacks all did go together, and they were doing the whole footwork through the dummy drill, and then they would throw it into those little pockets to where they had to hit it. And in those drills, Levis was missing the mark a bunch, and I was like, okay, well, maybe he hasn't taken that step, and Malik was just hitting him on the dot. But like you had said, when they moved more into the 7-on-7, something that I saw last year at training camp was the same thing that I was seeing from Malik this year, and that was him taking too much time to make his read. Because obviously in 7-on-7, you're not seeing a pass rush. You can take your time, but I was sitting there counting 1, 2, 3, and it seemed like every single throw was going past 3 seconds, and by that time in the NFL, the pass rush is already there, and you're taking a sack or you're making a bad play.
Yeah, and that's why, I alluded to, him having to anticipate what's going on, because a lot of, playing that position, beside the leadership and, the strong arm or whatnot, you have to be able to anticipate, throws. You got to be able to anticipate what the defense is doing. You got to see it before they actually get into it. You got to recognize it before anybody else recognizes it on the team. And that's where he has to just continue to, to get better. This is a part of that process that he has to sort of, endure and get better, working at all his fundamentals and his technique as a quarterback. And that helps you with not necessarily predetermining where you're going to throw, but anticipating what you're throwing, who you're throwing to, where you're throwing it, and what the defense is going to do.
And so, and with that being said, on the contrary, what I saw from Will Levis in 7-on-7, and he didn't get as many passing reps. In 11-on-11, they gave Malik a lot more opportunities in that one. But in 7-on-7 in particular, where you could really kind of compare the two, you know, Will Levis was one to get the ball out immediately. He looked at the defense. He was making read, calling out who the mic is. And he also, you know, with his cadence, he kind of saw where the safeties were moving. He could kind of tell where what the defense was doing, and he was very clear and decisive in where he was going with his passes. Whereas, you know, Malik doing the same thing, you know, with the time taken. I thought that was a really big difference between the two. And this was something that I was kind of expecting. I thought, you know, when Will Levis came in, you know, fresh off the combine, you're doing all of those things to get yourself in the best shape possible, all the interviews. You're doing a lot more preparatory work that's not football. And so what I figured when he first came in here fresh off of that, he wasn't going to be as sharp as, say, a Malik Willis, who's had the entire offseason to really focus in and harness his game. But today I really saw Will Levis take a jump forward, and I think if you're looking at that, comparing apples to apples, that Will Levis definitely had the better day when it came to the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 today. So,
yeah, and you just hope that each quarterback each day, because there's going to be some days where, you know, Malik Willis looks a little bit better than Will Levis.
Yeah.
And then it's going to flip. You know, and then maybe both of them look better than Tannehill on one day, but you don't want that to happen too many times. But that's just the nature of camp. I think sometimes, you know, when you come out, what you want to do you want to be consistent, consistently good, consistently taking a step forward at making yourself a better player, which in turn will make the team a better, make this offense a better offense. So I just want to see these guys, you know, because I'm not going to sit here and say, well, this guy should be, the starter or the backup or third string. What I'm looking at is each guy getting better every practice. That's what I want to see. And if each guy's getting better every practice, then ultimately it's going to make the Tennessee Titans offense better.
Absolutely. So we still have Ryan Tannehill, Kevin Byard coming up on the podium. They may or may not be up there next. If they are, we're going to send you that way. But if they are not, I spent a little bit of time watching the offensive linemen and who was lining up where. We are going to get into that next. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. Junie Riddle, Derek Mason here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The offseason is in full swing, but there's no slowing down ESPN's Teron Davenport.
The flow of information.
He talks the talk.
Spears gives you that guy that can still hit the home run.
And walks the walk.
As a run blocker, he's going to murder a linebacker at the second level.
On everything Titans, TD is on Mondays at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast. TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
Happy, what is it, Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday. It's hump day, people. Listen, man, I'm talking to you. And I need to tell you something about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. You need to have energy like Arden Key does, because this will give you that type of energy when you go to Cool Springs MD. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's been no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. So, men, what are you waiting for? Get Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
I Am a Difference Maker is helping families with overwhelming financial crises, ranging from medical bills, drug and alcohol addiction, sexual abuse, natural disasters, suicide prevention, and much more. They're a small grassroots 501c3 created to help people in times of need before life becomes unbearable. I Am a Difference Maker believes that through working together, we can connect with each other and strengthen the community through the love that is shared. 100% of donations go to families in need. Find out more at IamADifferenceMaker.today.
The Nashville Sheriff wants to pay you $55,700 a year. Now hiring correctional officers. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or a GED. Come, join our family and earn $55,700 after paid training and probation. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
Election Day in Davidson County is August 3rd. Don't forget to cast your vote for mayor, vice mayor, at-large council members, district council members, and Tennessee House of Representatives District 51. This important election will help shape the future of our region. Early voting is from July 14th through 29th. If necessary, the runoff election will take place September 14th. For more information on registration, early voting, and polling locations, visit the link at thegamenashville.com.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at Norfolk. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pre-game at 5:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Who do you anticipate being in the running to be this team's opening day right tackle?
Well, Jamarco's worked over there the first couple days. You know, the early report guys. I think Andrew Rupchik will play over there. I think Jalen will have a shot over there. I think OJ will have a chance over there, John. And so, you know, we'll kind of see where things go, and we'll find the best person there.
That was Mike Vrabel in yesterday's press conference when asked who he thinks is going to be the opening day starter at right tackle. Welcome back into Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. Junie Riddle, Derek Mason here at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park for Titans training camp. We are still waiting some of the players to come out here on the podium to get the interview, but I wanted to get into this offensive line conversation because for me, my biggest questions with this team were the wide receiver depth chart and also the offensive line. And with the signing of D-Hop, I'm no longer as much worried about the wide receivers. And that strictly leads me to really honing in on this offensive line. And with Nicholas Petit-Frere's 6-game suspension due to gambling, it's a big question. Are they going to sign somebody off the street? Are they going to move somebody already in the starting lineup to the right side? But Vrabel said yesterday that he's going to be looking for some of his tackle depth to take charge and come look at this position. So two of the guys that I saw today, D-Mase, that were kind of getting a lot of reps, I should say, to start out was the mystery man, OJ, Orange Juice. Nobody really knew who he was yesterday, but it's John Ojukwa. He's a rookie out of Boise State. And I was talking to my buddy Easton Freeze. He loves draft time and watching some film. And he says this guy's natural ability is really, really good and somebody that actually should be in contention for this starting job. And another guy I saw is a familiar face who didn't get a lot of opportunities last year, but was Jamarco Jones.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're in a position where it's sort of like, musical chairs because of, Nicholas not being able to participate once the season comes. Now, he can practice now, and I believe he can play in the preseason games.
Yes.
But he can't. Once the season gets going, he has to be away from the building, which I don't agree with. Now, he can't play. I understand that. But to completely take a guy away from everything, I think at least he should be allowed to come in the building, be around the guys. Not playing is just, it's tremendous on an individual because you want to be out there helping your teammates. I think that would have been enough for a guy that didn't bet on the NFL game but betted in general. But when you take him completely away from the building, I think that's a little bit too much. But that's just me. But I believe that, this group of offensive linemen, they're going to get an opportunity to work themselves into a starting role because of two things. Because of, we don't know exactly what this offense is going to be, even though at this point we have Dillard and Skoronski at left guard and left tackle, and then Aaron Brewer at center. It doesn't mean that things can't be fluent. Guys can't move around. So these offensive linemen all have an opportunity to sort of, put their stake in whatever position they're going out for. More importantly, the right tackle position and, honestly, the right guard position. I don't think any position outside of the first three that I named, Dillard, Skoronski, and who else did I name here? Brewer, Aaron Brewer. Yeah, Aaron Brewer. I think those three guys are pretty much, you can pencil them in as starters, but I think the right guard and right tackle, those two positions are up for grab now that Nicholas can't participate once the team gets going during the season.
So I'll tell you this, and I want to know your opinion on it. Vrabel was talking about this yesterday. Obviously, we pulled the clip about who he's saying is going to be, working in and out on that right tackle position for you. I personally see a guy like Daniel Brunskill as a guy that could probably come in and get you the best production at the right tackle position. But the offensive line in general is all about being a cohesive unit. And I think what Mike Vrabel is wanting to do is to keep all the primary starters in their same spot to that way you're not jumbling up not just one position with the Petit Ferrer suspension, but you're also moving somebody out of another position. Now you got two guys that are out of place rather than just one. Do you agree with that philosophy?
No, yeah, typically you don't want to have to move guys around, because they're learning the position that they're at, and then they got to come over and learn another position, which they're the starters on the other side. But you're sort of, because of the situation, you got to move guys around and try to figure things out. What you want to do is try to get the five guys that's going to make your team the best team it could possibly be as quickly as possible. So whoever those five guys are, we named three of them, Dillard, Skoronski, and Brewer. Now, who's going to be on that right side? Is it going to be a Brunskill at guard and, say, O.J. at tackle? Is it going to be a Jamarcus at tackle and a Brunskill at guard? Is it going to be a Brunskill at tackle and somebody else at guard? Whoever it's going to be, they're trying to find those five guys as quickly as possible because the offensive line, I think that's the one position that has been hurt the most when we talk about the new collective bargaining agreement, because these guys need as much time or more than anybody to gel. Because if one of those guys blow it, you may blow it for the whole offense.
Yeah.
If one of the defensive guys blow it on the defensive line, he may blow it right into a sack. You never know. It doesn't work like that on the offensive side of the ball. So those five guys, you want to get those guys in place as quickly as possible, and hopefully they can gel as quickly as possible. So when you go in that first game, you're not worried about, well, am I going to play Brunskill at guard or tackle, or if I'm going to play Jamarcus or O.J. No, I want to have my five guys. So when the season starts, we're ready to go, and there's no questions.
No, and I completely agree with you. And, we can't get into too much detail about, who was lining up where. But we did see a lot of different combinations today.
And you're going to see that.
They're trying to feel it out. And like you said, this is the most important unit. Everybody has to know their assignment. Everybody has to be comfortable with one another. You got to understand, like, hey, if we're seeing this look, you're going to take this guy, and I'm going to take this guy that's coming from all different angles, because that's what the defense is trying to do. They're trying to line up. They're trying to confuse you. They're trying to get you to jump off sides. And if you can't trust the guy next to you to do his job, I mean, that impacts everybody on the entire offensive line. So I agree with you on the cohesiveness of the unit. So another thing about this offensive line that is really intriguing to me is, especially with the additions they went and got this year, even though the offensive line was horrific last year, especially in pass blocking, I look at this team and I look at the guys that they got, and it seems as if their additions in free agency are much better pass blockers than they are run blockers. Do you think that that's going to impact this team negatively, since it's been a much more run-first philosophy kind of offense?
Well, what you hope is, because, I mean, if you are great at pass blocking and run blocking, you're going to be a Hall of Famer. And I'm sure that's what the Titans hope they have in all 5 of their offensive linemen, whoever they deem the starters are going to be. But typically you have, guys that are a little bit better at doing one thing than they are the other. Not to say that they're bad at say, run blocking, but they may be a better pass blocker when you talk about the average and the numbers and the grades than they are a run blocking. But what the Titans envision is they hope these guys can block, in the run game just as well as they can block in the pass game. Because make no mistake, I don't care who they went and got, and I don't care, because you look at Dillard. He's more of an athletic guy. He came out, at the Pac, I think he was in the Pac-12, where they did a lot of passing. So he was already adept at pass blocking, not so much run blocking. But even with that athleticism of him, and then Skoronski being more of, because he played in the Big Ten, he's more of a grinder, so to speak. It doesn't matter. You want these guys to go out and them be efficient in both run blocking and pass blocking, because again, this is a run-based team. Everything starts and ends with Derrick Henry having the football. So I don't care if you get a guy and you may say he's the greatest pass blocker. He better be a damn good run blocker too, because I am not going to sacrifice my bread and butter just to get an extra 2 or 3, maybe 5 or 10 passes, per game. We need to continue to do what we've been doing from a run standpoint, but also able to transition and pass when we need to.
And I think that's a good conversation, and we're going to get into this a little bit next about how this offense is going to look a little bit different under Tim Kelly and the additions that they have made. But before we go, Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet. You are listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
Big time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch.
Talking about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture eats strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City. mbofmc.com.
3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
Nashville's Best Deals is a great place to save cash fast. Get up to half off or more on dining and entertainment at thegamenashville.com/deals. Check back often for new featured deals and save money now at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You know why insurance companies use all those cute and funny characters? To distract you from realizing you're only getting one option. If you want to compare prices, you're forced to visit multiple websites just to get one quote at a time. But not with Xander Insurance, because they work for you. Xander is a broker that shops dozens of top companies to find the best competitive rates for the coverage you need, and they keep reviewing your policy every year to make sure you're getting the best value. They're always available to answer questions, handle problems, and make sure that when it comes to insurance, your life is simple and hassle-free. You even have direct access to their senior management team. If your current company or agent doesn't do this much for you, let Xander Insurance help. Compare rates online at Xander.com or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch. When Xander works for you, you're going to see the difference. Again, that's 800-356-1780, or you can visit Xander.com with no characters needed.
Delivery's at the door. Can someone please unlock?
It's been an eventful afternoon with a spike in bookings at Claudia's event space.
We'd love to host Mermaid Fest.
She was already planning on having more event planners on hand.
500? That's a lot of tails.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back into Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. We got Mike Vrabel up at the podium, and we are going to go straight there.
Dr. Gibby, and then Arden Key.
How proud are you of Malik, of the progress that he's made?
Well, I think when you coach players and they ask for feedback, and again, I really, you can learn a lot from great coaches, and for me to not think that Nick Saban is one of the best coaches that ever wore a whistle is ridiculous. And so he says something all the time that really average players want to be left alone. And good players want to be coached, and great players want to be told the truth. And I think it's like, man, if we can just live in that world where everybody just, hey, what was this? What is this? What else do I need? What do I need to do to improve? Where do I stand? And they can seek the truth. They can handle the truth. And then, we always want to tell the truth. And so that's what we did the entire offseason. We'll continue to do that. And Malik took those things, and just his appearance, his attitude, smiling, and just playing football. So, and again, playing quarterback in this league as a young player is something very different. And so I think that experience at offseason has helped him, and then we'll continue to work with him and improve.
Like from the start of the offseason workouts through now and then into the first game, how much differently have you structured anything because to try to limit injuries? Have you made, how many changes did you make because of that?
Did we miss you the other day, Gentry? Yeah, maybe so. Pretty sure. So, again, last year we tried to do that, and we've always tried to go 2-on and try to pull back on that third day where maybe historically or some of the data would tell you that the volume's, getting too high. And we started out in a jog through last year, and then looking at the data, it was like hard to keep the receivers from running a certain, mile per hour. So we've just adjusted those to be in walkthroughs. We're still going to work. We're still going to practice. We're going to still, hold up to our standards of what we feel like is important. But we're going to try to, on that third day, continue with our installation, but still come out here in the morning or whatever time at 10 and walk through the installation. I mean, we can't just take a day off. We have to continue with the installation and make sure that we're progressing on into third down and red zone and 2-minute. But that'll be a little different in that regard, just the volume on that third day.
What attracted you to Marco when you made your initial connection way back when you were recruiting? And what do you think of him now, having fought through what he fought through last year and being in position to maybe go take the job?
Well, just an athlete, watched him play basketball in high school, got to know him and his mom. Then he came to Ohio State. I went to Houston. And again, you make a lot of connections and relationships in life and certainly in coaching and recruiting. So, that was another example of that. I would say in the free agent process, there was some versatility, played all across the front for Seattle. And then, like you alluded to, had a setback, had an injury, tried to come back and it wasn't going to be possible. And so now he's, going to try to take advantage of the opportunity that he has.
At that same position, John Ojukwu, or as you call him,
OJ, it's a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, seriously. But what has he done, coming in as a rookie, undrafted free agent to earn some of the significant reps?
He was probably in the 5 years, or now going on 6, going through that post-draft process of being excited, knew how we played, knew what our demeanor wanted it to be, has come in, he's learned, he's a smart player, he's got good length. And so he shows up, and by being out there every day, we tell him that they can do 3 things. They can improve, they can take advantage of an opportunity if it's there, and then they can be evaluated. So that's where he's at, just getting started.
You talked about Jack Gibbons.
The last 2 years with guys. How refreshing is it for you to have a healthy 90 Harold?
It's the first day. Give it a week, Corey.
Well, they're going to get hurt, but you got
to. If they're all out there, Corey, on paper, you get excited, but we'll make sure that everybody that's out there and the guys that we end up with on the final roster, you have to. You got to have a pair and a spare at every position, and trying to find guys that play with speed, violence, and versatility. And part of that versatility is going and playing another position, taking a look at some of these inside linebackers that can help us out at Sam or on the edge, and just starting to build a roster and form a team. So, but for those guys, worked extremely hard. To get back out there and never having had a knee surgery or gone through that. There's got to be a mental aspect to it. There's got to be one, excitement, but 2, there's got to be some hurdles that you get over that maybe the apprehension and didn't look like it, anything affected him, and Harold worked extremely hard to make sure that he was back out there.
You talked about Jack Gibbons. You talked about Jack Gibbons and being one of the off-season award winners. Last year he went from the practice squad and he had the green dot at the end of the year. What's kind of been the continued acceleration that he's done?
I just think he's a tall, linear, lengthy player, and I think he worked extremely hard to improve his lower body strength. Was running just as well, was running better than he ran last year, just from a tracking standpoint. Not that that's the end-all, be-all, but he knows what to do. He communicates. He's a good communicator, and he's where he's supposed to be. Sorry, Kayla.
No, you're fine. With right tackle position again, obviously, you're seeing a little bit of Jalen Duncan in there, and I guess the knock on him coming out of the draft was maybe just a little bit more of that mean side of him. How do you kind of look at this guy and what he needs to continue to do to have a chance to win that position?
Jalen made a great impression on us at his visit. Jalen's a talented player. Jalen's a smart player. He can handle different installations and things, and just his focus is continuing to be there. And really, our conversations are a lot of the times personal, but I'll tell you this, he just has to realize how good he can be, not get frustrated by making mistakes. We're gonna coach mistakes. Hopefully we're not coaching the same ones over and over again, but just making sure that effort there is there and the finish is there.
Mike, how have you seen Traylon and Shake specifically, their mentalities maybe elevate to the level of expectations you're going to have for them this season? They're going to be a big part of your offense, obviously.
Yeah, I think there's a confidence level that goes up when you string plays together or string days together, or that has to happen. When you're trying to get open in this league and you're trying to catch the football, there's got to be a confidence level. I think that's high for them physically. I think that they're young players who put good work in throughout the off season. Both of those guys did, and again, just getting started, but trying to find pieces where those guys can help us and get the ball in their hands.
Mike, I know you spoke on this earlier, but how important is this ramp-up period before next week when you get your pads on and really get going?
Well, you can't waste the days. You have to make sure that there's an acclimation. Right? You have to get out there and you have to figure out what's important and the individual and making sure that you're getting a little bit of team in, and then we'll continue to ramp it up. But you have to be able to practice with speed. You have to be able to take care of each other, stay off the ground, stay away from the quarterback, all those things without pads. We have to be able to run the football without pads on in practice so that we can get work and work our offense and all those things that come along with it. So, I've said this ad nauseum, that great teams know how to practice. They can practice with speed without pads on. You put pads on, guys are still staying up, guys aren't flopping around. So we got off to a good start. We'll just have to keep stringing days together.
That was Mike Vrabel out here at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Complex talking to the media after the first day of training camp. We're going to take a quick break, and coming back at noon, we are going to talk to Jonathan Hutton of Outkick 360. Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. In their car, at home, or on the job, more than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is, for the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
You could throw your flip-flop at a bug.
Ew, a bug, get it.
But the chances of actually hitting it
over there
are statistically,
it's still alive.
Unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and geraniol, and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem. Rooted in nature, optimized by science.
In any work environment, the culture is the most important thing. And what makes up the culture? The people. And this month at Cromwell Media, we want to highlight a few people who are celebrating their anniversaries with us. Morning show producer on 102.5 The Game, Nick Keyser, is celebrating 2 years. 102.9 The Buzz hosts Eric Steele and Andy Herring are celebrating 9 years. Sports producer Kenny Adams is celebrating 11 years. And Derek Mason, one of the greatest receivers in Titans history, is celebrating his anniversary with us on 102.5 The Game as well. If you're looking for a new career, reach out to us at together@cromwellmedia.com. Love what you do, love where you work.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
79-52 Vanderbilt.
I think he's going to coach
Shot by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado.
Hour number 2 of Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park for Titans training camp day number 1. Junior Riddle, Derek Mason in today. And we got Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow from Outkick. Jonathan, how are we doing today?
Doing great, guys. Hope everything is well out at training camp, and I'm glad football is back, even in a limited fashion as we get going for camp and practices across the league.
It is back, and it has been a great day out here at Ascension St. Thomas because it seems like the clouds decided to come out and give us some cover, so it's not been as blazing hot as it normally is in July in past years.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's another thing that D-Mase had to go through. It was always hot and miserable on two-a-days. And now even the players have cloud cover. That's in the new CBA.
They're just jittering them out there. They're doing everything they can, Hutton, to protect the health. But a big storyline of training camp this year, obviously, is going to be the battle for the backup quarterback position. We saw in minicamp Malik Willis really take a step forward from what we saw last year, Jonathan. But today, something that Derek and I both collectively noticed, that Will Levis seemed to have the better day of training camp on day 1. So what is your reaction to that?
I mean, I expect Will Levis to be the backup quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He's going to get a ton of reps in the preseason, as will Malik Willis. And I know that Vrabel gave Willis a shout-out for his offseason, and for grinding and trying to improve and do all that. And by all accounts, his offseason's been good. When the media has been able to observe. It's a storyline of camp. The emergency quarterback option now is also playing into this. But, yeah, I don't know how Willis isn't the odd man out of this, with Levis being the second-round pick this year with the new GM, and with Vrabel a year after taking a backup QB, doing it again. I don't know why you draft Levis if he's not backing up Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's going to be it's going to be a fluid situation, I think, because I told you, and I said, listen, there are going to be days where Malik Willis looks better than Will Levis, and there's going to be days that Will Levis look better than Malik Willis. But what I want to see is that both guys are getting better each day. I think if that happens, then that helps not just those two individuals, but it helps the Titans.
Yeah, and while I'm just sitting here thinking about Willis in this offense. Tim Kelly's also signed off on Levis. Let's put that out there too. Mm-hmm. But we did see in spurts, and I didn't like how Todd Downing forced some of the gadget plays and things with Willis last year when he wasn't when Tannehill was healthy. But I wonder if they use him in some way to their benefit offensively like that again. I don't know, but if so, that would be a reason to keep him active on game day in certain situations. Again, I think they can get creative and put the ball in his hands and see what happens with his legs and how he runs. He's got to improve in the passing game. That's been an absolute must from Vrabel. We saw that last year in the preseason. That can't happen again, but all accounts point to him doing exactly that. So, with that being said, let's just look at it from the Will Levis perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If he loses the backup job to Malik Willis, what is going on there? Like that, just surface level, without seeing any preseason, without knowing any injury things that are going to pop up, all of that plays a factor. But discussion doesn't win the backup gig to a guy that could not finish the season as the starter because Joshua Dobbs on 4 days' notice was better for them in a must-win game against Jacksonville. Yeah, that's not a good sign if it ends up that way, guys. That's just me point blank saying that's a huge screw up on their end if Levis is not beating out Willis.
We'll talk with Jonathan Hutton, Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. Now, what is another position? Because I want to see if you agree with me on this. Now, we know the offensive line is a storyline in this training camp. We know, well, the receivers and who's going to make up the back end of the depth with this receiver core. We know that will be a story. But I think the other story, and I think the story that is sort of being missed because of the front seven and how good they have been, is the secondary. I think if this team is going to take another step, they can't rely so heavy on the defensive front seven, because we saw what happened last year. Those guys started to get injured. Jeffrey was playing on a bum ankle. And if you don't have a secondary that can hold up, meaning those three corners, then it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, well, it really, you could speak volumes to this. I mean, it's not even top corner against top receiver. Mm-hmm. It's, the slot against their third best receiver against the Titans' third best defensive back, right? Like that one-on-one matchup that's going to be on an island too, because you're probably giving some help over the top to the best receiving option that they're going to face throughout. That will start in week one with Chris Olave, for instance, and Michael Thomas and others. This team, the heart of this team is the defensive front. They've got, $55 million or so in that defensive line based on contract values. That's where the production has to happen. They bring in Arden Key. He's energized. He's available. I think that's important throughout his career. He's been available. Landry's coming off injury, though. You're right. They have put their stock into players on the defensive backfield that, it's boom or bust right now. Make or break years for a lot of them. And in, Farley's case, he still can't get on the field. So, yeah, defensively, they have lived up to the next man up mantra. Exactly. And I do think the coaches have gotten the most out of talent that, it would be on a practice squad for a team that's healthy. And instead, they're starting on any given Sunday based on the injury history of the last 2 years. Defensively, I'm very confident in them getting the most out of certain players and keeping it steady. But that doesn't always win you games in a passing league where the rules are set up against the defense, especially on the outside in the passing game.
So, Jonathan, we had talked about this previously before, and I think clearly, everybody can see that this defense is going to be the strength of this team. But one position group on the defense that concerns me going into the season is the inside linebacker position. And today we saw a guy, Jack Gibbons, who was signed off the streets last year. He got some opportunities due to injury late last year, get some good reps. What do you see coming out of that position this year, and who do you really see kind of taking that step and holding the reins for the inside linebacker position in the middle of the defense?
Well, Monty Rice, he's got to step up and be the version of David Long as far as the player that we saw on the field instead of in the training room. Rice has also been in the training room. But then they have Al-Shire, who is a handpicked player that they signed from San Francisco through Rand Carthon whenever he got the job. They're looking for guys that can steady the ship and seek the ball, guys that are going to be able to fill a gap and shed blocks and potentially have to cover in a red zone situation as well. But you're right to point this out, but they mix and match so much at that spot and rotate. They've been rotating a lot of guys in over the last couple of years. It feels more about, that line of thinking right now. And, they lost players at that spot, but Junie, they didn't lose a lot of game reps. I mean, it was guys that are hurt a lot. I like David Long Jr., the player, but, Vrabel has an issue with the soft tissue problems that he's had, and he got a contract that the Titans could have easily re-signed him for whenever he signed with the Dolphins. Point being, the guy they signed from San Francisco, Alshire, he's been available, and he is in line with what Carthon wants to bring in, and production versus price. And that's the version that they have right now at the inside linebacker spot. But they've invested high in that spot in recent years through the draft. I like the version of what they have, investing in other key areas, and the inside linebacker just isn't one of those right now based on the way the offenses are set up that you have to defend.
The big news here recently is obviously the signing of DeAndre Hopkins. He spoke to the media yesterday, and he talked about his recruitment and how he got there and why he ended up going with the Tennessee Titans. What were your takeaways from that interview in the tone that he got? Because it's been getting a lot of different mixed reviews from people who watched it.
Well, I mean, I hear him, and I think he should come in and be energized. There's no doubt about it. An opportunity to get another paycheck soon to come. I mean, that would be the motivation. Mason and I talked about this. It was last week or the week before. At 31, is he on a mental pace to want to prove all the doubters wrong? There's not many guys, Mason's one of them, at that age who then go on to have 4,000 more yards in their career post 31. It doesn't happen. It's in the 20s, 23 or 24 in the history of the league. He can certainly be that, but the suitors were not there. The Patriots had a chance to match it. They didn't. The type of contract that the Titans offered and what was deemed aggressive, the Titans were the most aggressive, but they were one of two teams in the mix. And Kansas City didn't even try to, throw an offer out there. That was peculiar, and that should have him pissed off for greatness. And he's been great. He got a great range on a catch radius, and he scores touchdowns. He should come in and be that player. And if he is, the Titans have improved immensely on offense. They're going to score more than 18 points a game. Let's just start there. If Hopkins comes in and he's that player. But I get the mixed reviews because you don't really know. He's not. I think we would recognize him. He's a superstar in the league, but he's not really vocal. You don't hear from him like you do some of the other guys. So I think there is an unknown on the tenor and tone of what he's bringing. But here's the thing. I do get the sense it's more than just a Julio Jones from him. It's not a. I don't think it's just a lackadaisical, all right, let's finish up. Let's, get another paycheck for a year and see what happens. I think it's different than that based on what he's trying to prove. And, all the talk about trying to get traded when it didn't happen, he should be looking to prove a point.
That's Jonathan Hutton from Outkicks. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. Appreciate you taking the time, Hut, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Always enjoy this, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Coming up next, we're going to kind of dive into what Jonathan had to say. We're also going to get into a little bit of what Ryan Tannehill looked like and who he seemed to have some really good chemistry with today in 7-7 and 11 on 11. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Rebound, fly out in front, and Saros covers it up.
All the big stories.
Andrew Burnett reportedly hired as the next head coach of the Predators.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Comparing goalies to running backs.
46-27 Vanderbilt.
Does this group of players need more?
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Nashville is growing, but we remember our roots here.
The fairgrounds, my family and I have so many memories there. It is full of history, it is full of culture, and it is full of Nashville.
There are some folks who want to tear down our historic fairground speedway.
When you do that, you lose part of your story.
Don't tear it down, make it better.
I'm not necessarily a racing fan, but it's a part of the fabric of the neighborhood.
When you lose something, guess what? It doesn't come back.
Don't take away my history.
Let's make sure we don't lose another piece of what makes our city so special.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Sarah wants a yard. My own little paradise. Brad, however, hates yard work.
The only thing I hate more than cutting the grass is paying someone to cut the grass.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Sarah and Brad found a great home with a yard. A very, very small yard.
Time to get it done. And I'm done.
Bundling without compromise at Geico.com.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 1025 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball today at 5:35 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds take on the Norfolk Tides, AAA affiliate of the Baltimore Orioles. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure. Jonathan Hutton from Outkicks Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow just joined us and gave us a lot of good insight on Titans training camp. But I wanted to get into a little bit of Ryan Tannehill. We talked about the backup quarterbacks and their competition and who looked good. But Ryan Tannehill also looks pretty sharp here today, not making a lot of mistakes, looking like the starter that he is supposed to be. And I'll tell you this. I was really surprised because through minicamp, everybody was raving about how great he looked with Traylon Burks and Chigakonkwo. And last year we saw what he looked like with Kyle Phillips and how they had great chemistry. But today, if I had to pick one receiver that he was just feeding the ball to that looked like they were just completely in sync, is his new number one weapon, DeAndre Hopkins. Just finding him all different kinds of route combinations, sideline, middle of the field, down the field. I felt like he was all over the place with D-Hop today.
Well, you're gonna see that early on to try to get him acclimated to what's going on, and then the defense is going to dictate some of it as well. The type of defense they're playing, who's the first read, who's the second read. So the defense will always dictate, unless there's a situation where you just got to get the ball to your guy. But the defense a lot of times dictates where the ball is going to go. In this situation, D-Hop got a lot of opportunities, to catch the football, and that's something that I'm not worried about. D-Hop catching the football; he's gonna catch the football. It's just getting him acclimated to this offense. How much more does he still have left in the tank? Can he finish out the whole season? Can he adjust to possibly being the number 2 and not having a high volume of catches or opportunities? Those are the things that I'm sort of holding out to make my judgment, on D-Hop, because I know a lot of that comes into factor. It's not just a guy going out there running the routes and being able to catch the football. There's a lot of things that goes with it, especially a guy that, is a little bit long in the tooth, football-wise.
Yeah.
But you're going to see that early on. I went through the same thing when I left here and went to Baltimore. I was getting targeted a lot because you want to get familiar with the quarterback, with the offense, with the system. Quarterback wants to get familiar with you. But then it sort of morphed out to everybody else, because now I've sort of, picked up on everything, helped out everybody. Now these younger guys start to, fill in and start to make plays. And I expect that from Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips and the rest of the guys.
Now I got a question for you, and I ain't trying to call you out, D-Mase. I love you. But a little while ago, when D-Hop and all these meetings were going on and stuff like that, you were kind of against bringing him in here, and you wanted to see some of these guys down the depth chart to get some opportunities. Do you still feel that way, or are you kind of hopping on this D-Hop wave?
I'm still wait and see. Again, my problem has never been whether D-Hop can catch the football or not.
Yeah.
I've been on record to say, listen, this guy is probably he's the best catcher of the football since Larry Fitzgerald and Chris Carter. There are a lot of guys that can catch the football, but what he's able to do, and some of these younger guys too, Chase and Jefferson and T. Higgins, guys like that, and Devontae Adams. But when you're talking about strictly just a catcher of the football, I don't think there's no better one than Hop. But I would have loved to see these younger guys, get an opportunity to step up into a role that is meant for them, whatever role that is.
Yeah.
Now, they're still going to get their opportunities, but it's not going to be as many, because once we get to the first 2 weeks of camp, now we're starting to concentrate on our guys, the guys that we know are going to be on this team. So we're going to continue to work with them more and more and more. And, these young guys got to show early on that they're keeping up with the train, because if you ain't keeping up with the train, you're going to get left behind. So I think that way because I was in that situation. So I'm a little bit more sensitive than everybody else.
Yeah.
Because I've been that third, fourth, fifth receiver and working my way up, and then bringing in veteran guys and not truly giving me an opportunity to go out there and play. Because sometimes, more times than not, it's opportunities that guys get or don't get that allows them to play in this league for, periods of time, or for, whatever time, say 5-6 years. It's the opportunities that you get at whatever position. And if you make do on that opportunity, then you're going to last in this league.
So I kind of see it this way. The guys that are down on the depth chart, for me, I don't really see like a young guy that this might have implications for. Nick Westbrook-Akina. Like, he's had his opportunities the last couple of years in this offense, and, he's had some productive games, and, he's been a solid depth receiver piece, but he's had his opportunities. Chris Moore, he's been in the league since 2016. He's had his opportunities. He had a better year last year. Don't get me wrong.
He got a real opportunity last year, and he may do on it.
Yeah, well, again, I still 1 year is 1 year, and when you're talking about Houston wide receiving core compared to the Titans, I mean, you're not talking about a lot of discrepancies. I see it this way, that the Titans were going to come into this year, and they were going to be relying heavily on 3 guys, and that's obviously Treylon Burks, who they drafted, with their first pick last year, Chigakonkwo, who really didn't get the volume that we were all calling for him to get, but yet at the end of the year he was still on top of the receiving yards stat line for the Titans, even with that lack of production. And then Kyle Phillips, who was injured most of last year. So they were going into this season relying on a lot of year 2 guys, and I felt like that could have been a cause for failure because you're putting all your eggs into young guys that are unproven. You add one significant veteran like this. You put Treylon as the number 2 for now until he proves himself. And then you put Chig, he's still going to be roam in the middle of the field. He's still going to be the number 1 tight end, but now he's more of the 3rd option rather than the number 2 option. And now Kyle Phillips, who last year had probably the best chemistry with Tannehill coming out of training camp, he's your 4th option. And now it seems like with all the attention going everywhere and in the run game with Derrick Henry, I feel like he's going to have looks for days in the middle of the field to let him do what he does best. And I think that it just helps everybody, and it gives more people of an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it can work several different ways, he's a guy in D-Hop that, the minute he steps in, he's going to be more than a contributor to this offense. He's going to make your offense better. Now, how much better? I don't know. None of us will know until they get going during the season. But just on paper, what he's done as a veteran guy, he's going to make your offense or your passing game a little bit better. But your passing game is not going to be where it needs to be unless those other guys pick up the slack. The old saying is, you're only as strong as your weakest link. Well, they need their weakest link to be a contributor, to be a guy that they can count on, if one of these other guys go down. So, to me, we know what we have, or at least I know what they have in D-Hop and Treylon and Chig, and even in Kyle Phillips. I think they have 4 guys that are able to, is it the best in the league as far as pass catchers? No, but they're sort of in that middle. They're sort of in that middle, and they have an opportunity to move up or down. But a lot of that is predicated on how that bottom half of that roster and that receiver room is. Because if I got to rely heavy all year on 3 guys, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a serious problem. We're going to be in the same situation that we were in, when we just relied so heavy on Brown and Corey Davis, even though they were able to do some things in the offense. But once one of those guys go down, now you're looking around like, who's going to be our pass catcher? So that bottom half of the receiving room, they need to show that they can be more than just contributors on this team. They got to show that they can go out and get the job done if, DeAndre can't practice or play, if Treylon can't play or practice. Those guys, Chris Moore, Kyle Phillips, Racey McMath, Dowd, the new guy they just drafted. Those guys got to show that if anything happens to one of these 2 top guys or 3 top guys, meaning Chig also, then we can pick up the slack. We don't need to carry the season. We just need to carry a game or 2 or 3 if they're not playing.
I want to continue this conversation on the other side, because when D-Hop spoke to the media yesterday, he highlighted something about the Tim Kelly offense that put him into a situation that could really kind of expand what this offense wants to do. We're going to get into that next, but Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older and in Tennessee to bet. Again, you are listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
What's up? It's Chase McCabe, and I have been telling you about PhD Weight Loss for several weeks now, the program created by Dr. Ashley Lucas, the best-selling author. Listen, overall, I'm down about 25 pounds, and this is a great program because losing weight is not easy. That's why you have one-on-one coaching sessions. I talk to Rachel each week. She's great. She works me through my program, gives me what I need. We adjust my diet as we go. And that is how I'm getting the results, and you can too. With that weekly one-on-one coaching, you get the customized meal plans. And here's the cool part about this. If you choose to use their food, 85% of the food is provided for you at no extra charge. And the food is great. I love the cereals, the protein bars, the shakes, but they can also teach you how to use your own food as well. And remember, their new offer guarantee, if you don't get within 5 pounds of your target weight, by the time your program is over, PhD will continue to coach you until you do. That is their offer guarantee. MyPhDWeightLoss.com is the website. Check it out, MyPhDWeightLoss.com. Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I Am a Difference Maker is helping families with overwhelming financial crises, ranging from medical bills, drug and alcohol addiction, sexual abuse, natural disasters, suicide prevention, and much more. They're a small grassroots 501c3 created to help people in times of need before life becomes unbearable. I Am a Difference Maker believes that through working together, we can connect with each other and strengthen the community through the love that is shared. 100% of donations go to families in need. Find out more at IamADifferenceMaker.today.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist-recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is back in Nashville August 4th through 6th and is a must-see experience that has something for everyone to enjoy. 102.5 The Game and 94.9 The Fan has all your coverage leading to the race, including driver interviews with Chase McCabe, ticket giveaways, and much more.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at Norfolk. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pre-game at 5:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From what I remember, I think when I was in the slot, you can go back and fact check me, but I might have been, like top 5 productive slot receiver at the time. And that was my first year being in the slot. So obviously Tim knew how to call plays, and, it worked. We were very productive. We were, a couple games away from getting to where we wanted to get to. So I think that helps a lot, not just having me outside where teams can kind of, double me or just, take me out the game at one position, but move me around, not just – it doesn't help myself, but the offense as well.
That was DeAndre Hopkins yesterday speaking about being a part of Tim Kelly's offense, and in particular talking about how he lined up in the slot and was top 5 in productivity when he lined up there. So I thought we should bring this up because our very own Derek Mason has some experience with playing in the slot and playing in the outside and how that can change the dynamic of the offense. So, D-Mase, in your experience with you being a very versatile receiver, being able to do both of those positions, playing inside and out, what does that bring to a receiving core, and how does that make it harder for a defense to defend?
I think one, obviously, it brings versatility, that you can take your number one guy, and he's just not a, inside guy, or he's just not an outside guy. He's a guy that you can take and move him around and put him in multiple places. I can remember when I first got here in '97, being the 4th-round draft pick, Les Steckel, who was then the offensive coordinator, he said, listen, I want you to learn the X and the H and some of the Z. And I'm thinking as a rookie, I'm thinking like, man, why am I learning all these positions? Like, I'm going to do it. But I wasn't the first receiver you drafted. Give me an opportunity to excel. Give me an opportunity to go out there and prove that I can play. But what I didn't know is that's what he was doing. He understood, and he thought highly of me, that this kid can learn more than just one position. So we're going to put him in the inside, we're going to put him in the outside, and, see if he can handle it. And I could, and I absorbed it all. I had my bumps in the roads here and there, but it helped me in the long run. So when I did become a starter, I had a lot of familiarity with playing in the slot. You got to know a lot. You got to read the defense. You got to know what the linebackers are doing. You got to know what the safeties are doing. You got to know what that outside corner is doing, because a lot of teams like to, disguise their coverage as well. Every team likes to disguise their coverage and give you something pre-snap, and then there's something post-snap that if you're not paying attention, you're not seeing. So I had to know from an inside slot position what they were doing on that first and second level in regards to not just the slot guy that was covering me, but the linebackers that may shift out and bump out over me. The inside backer, what is he doing? The outside corner, what is he doing? Is he in man? Is he in trail technique? Is he in cover 2 man? What is he playing? So I had to learn all those things. But it allowed me the ability to go out there and work the middle of the field the way I knew how. Building that rapport with the quarterback, knowing that wherever I'm put, I'm going to excel. And D-Hop, that's what he's been able to do in his career. He talked about the first year he played in the slot under Tim Kelly. He was highly productive, and he's absolutely right. But, again, that was 6 years ago. This version of D-Hop, how is he going to be able to operate in the slot as opposed to the D-Hop when he first did it? He was a lot quicker, a lot younger, a little bit faster. So that slot looked a little bit different to him. How is it going to look to him now that he's lost a little bit of that foot speed, now that maybe a little bit of that quickness has gone away? Now defenses are playing a little bit different now they're putting their best cornerback as a slot as opposed to putting him outside. How do you then operate? And then, how does the Titans view him at that position, meaning a slot? Because you still got Kyle Phillips, who is your slot guy. Like, he is the guy that you wanted in there. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting how they use DeAndre Hopkins. And when he says slot, it doesn't necessarily mean he's the third wide. Mm-hmm. They can get into slot various different ways. They can line up in it. They can motion to it. They can do multiple things where he ends up the slot guy. He can start off as a single receiver, but then they can motion Kyle Phillips or Traylon Burks over, and then he can become the slot. He can become the slot if they motion a tight end over. So there's various ways they can get to D-Hop while he's the slot guy. So that's going to be interesting to see how they use him in regards to that position.
615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Send in some texts and give us a call about your thoughts on the impact that DeAndre Hopkins can have on this receiving core. And I'll tell you this, and we were kind of talking about this briefly in the break, that I see this as his ability to move inside and outside because, like you said, Kyle Phillips is going to be the primary slot guy on this team. I mean, he's the shiftiest. He's probably the best route runner on the team and can really work the middle.
Exactly.
But he can't be out there for every single play. And so when you're able to take Kyle Phillips off and move a DeAndre Hopkins, like you said, whether it's motioning him in, lining him up there, whatever it is, not only is it confusing the defense, but it's also getting other guys opportunities to come out and work. Nick Westbrook-Akina, he's also a guy that can play multiple positions. But for me, I primarily see him as an outside receiver, and that gives him more opportunity. Chris Moore, who's more than likely going to make this team as well, that gives him more opportunities and more reps. So I just feel like with the versatility of a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, him being your number one option, just the fact that you can move him around and sub other players in and out is going to give a lot of range for this Titans receiving core, and giving the ability for more people to play and get more opportunities and get other guys rest, so that this team isn't necessarily relying heavily on just a select few guys like we saw last year. And so that's the big difference for me, is just seeing guys that are lower on the depth chart getting more opportunities because of it.
Well, they're all going to get an opportunity to play in a slot, again, because you can get to it in so many different ways. You can be, in trips or in bunch, and you can be the inside receiver, and you can be the point receiver, but you're still the slot receiver because there's somebody outside of you. So there's various ways they can get to it. And all these guys, they need to have the ability to play multiple positions. Just because Kyle Phillips, is my primary inside guy, he needs to be able to, if we want to motion him out, if he stars the inside, want to motion him outside of a Traylon or D-Hop, he has to have the ability to motion outside, run an outside route, and get open. So all of these guys got to be able to have the ability to not just play inside, but play outside. It's in with the receivers, it's sort of like basketball. Basketball, to me, has become a positionless sport. You got to be able to do everything. 6'11" guys got to be able, more than likely, to bring the ball up on a fast break, because you might get the rebound and you may have to go. We may want to break. So
we saw guys like Jokic doing that.
You got to be able to do that. Why? Because the NBA is becoming positionless. Well, the receivers are positionless. You got to be able to line up inside. You got to be able to line up outside. You got to be able to do multiple things as a receiver. I learned that a long time ago in my career, and it helped further my career, after that. And that's what not only D-Hop, and he understands it, but these younger guys got to understand. Just because Kyle Phillips and D-Hop may be playing our slot, or Kyle Phillips is the primary slot, all y'all better know that position.
Yeah.
Because, especially in a 2-minute drill, we may have to do some things on the fly, so you better know what you need to do at the slot position if indeed you're caught in that situation.
And I like what you said there. You said that, that's kind of what extended your career. And I think because your career started to kind of melt into this new generation of 7-on-7 being really prevalent in the game today. When I was growing up, like 7-on-7 was first kind of coming out. Quarterbacks were kind of, playing football more year-round than they ever had, instead of playing other sports. And with the rules that the NFL has implemented, it's put a focal point on wide receivers. I mean, we've seen it with the running back market. They used to be the highest paid position because running the ball and playing defense is what the NFL used to be, focused in on. But nowadays we see it where, having number one wide receivers and not just one really good wide receiver, but numerous down the depth chart is really important and key to a team's success. And so you're seeing wide receivers nowadays, like you mentioned, going off motion in the slot, running different routes. And the more versatile your route tree is, the more likely you're going to be able to play and make a contribution to the team.
Well, the more you can do, the longer you can hang around. And if you can do, the more you can do at a high level, then the sky's the limit for you. Again, I learned that early on. The more I can do, and not just do it, but do it at a high level, the longer I was going to stick around. D-Hop understands that, so I'm sure he has no problem with playing in the slot if they need him to play in it. But all those guys got to realize that you're not just a one-trick pony, so to speak. You got to be able to be – you have to become positionless at the receiver position, meaning I'm not just strictly an outside guy or an X. I'm a Z if you need me to be a Z. I'm an H if you need me to be an H. I'm a Y if you need me to be a Y. Whatever you need me to be, that particular play, I will be in regards to the receivers.
The game summer ticket tour is heading to Homegrown Tap Room and Kitchen located at 2720 Old Lebanon Road this Friday afternoon from 2 to 6. Come eat, drink, hang, and leave with a pair of free Sounds, Preds, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix tickets or concert tickets. Also get signed up for the grand prize, Titans tickets, Preds tickets in the 501 Club, and a 2-night stay at Opryland Hotel with access to sound waves. Black Tie Moving delivers the game summer ticket tour. For more details, visit thegamenashville.com/tour. Coming up next, Joe Rexrode came out with his prediction for the 53-man roster before training camp started. We are going to look into that and talk about who Joe Rexrode has and if we agree with all of his selections. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. They fight.
Jared, you're
how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
how do you know that, though? How do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexrode debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
When the game goes into overtime. But the game goes into overtime. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Genesis is actually a new beginning.
Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon talking about why it's called Genesis.
I love the symbolism of the name. It's a new beginning.
Boaz wanted the name of his company to mean something, to reflect his core values and the importance of starting relationships for people in love, as well as the relationship he wants with each and every customer.
It's a new beginning in their life for the relationship between us, the jeweler, the Genesis Diamond, and the customer, and it should last forever. Everything we do is for the customer.
Walk into Genesis and you can feel it. Genuine people who are solely focused on celebrating the best moments of your life.
It's not only my passion, it's my culture. Genesis is the book where God created the world, the day and night, the man and the woman. Every diamond engagement ring that we specially created for the customer is a new beginning for amazing, lasting relationship.
Come start your amazing, lasting relationship today at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Joyland in East Nashville. Joyland is a fun new concept by celebrity chef Sean Brock, inspired by his love for cheeseburgers, shakes, buttermilk biscuits, fries, and fried chicken. Get half off a $30 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals and enjoy the best burger in town. Find some joy today and eat Joyland for half off with Nashville's best deal of the week. That's thegamenashville.com/deals.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have off the #1 dermatologist recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Junie Riddle,
the guy that can come in and give us some good goal-scoring production,
and Nick Keiser,
another guy that I thought was interesting that got a 1-year deal.
Each Saturday morning at 9, it's Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back into Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. We teased it before the break. Joe Rexrode came out with his Titans 53-man roster projection. And I wanted to get into it a little bit, D-Mase.
Let's
start with the quarterbacks, right? They implement the new rule that you can have the emergency quarterback, dressed up if need be in the middle of the game. And he has all three quarterbacks making the final 53-man roster. Your thoughts on that?
Three quarterbacks, it's not far-fetched, I don't think. I believe that, outside of Ryan Tannehill, meaning Willis and Levis, they will determine whether they make this team or not. Obviously, listen, Will Levis is not getting cut. I mean, the dude can – I'm not going to say he can stink, but basically he can stink.
He can stink. He's the 33rd overall pick. If he sucks, they're going to bring him in.
He's going to make the roster unless he's just so bad which I don't think he would ever be, so bad where they just like, man, we can't. But he makes the roster. I think Willis, his spot will be determined on how he performs in preseason. I think he makes the roster, but just because I think he makes the roster doesn't mean it's going to happen. He has to show that he's making progress as a quarterback. That's what it boils down to. I don't care who you are. If you're a young player or older player, you got to make sure what the coaches are seeing and other players are seeing. They're seeing something that's going to help this club. They're seeing you get better each year or each practice. And if he can do that, Willis, then I believe he will make the team. If he does come in, which it looks like he has, and he shows that he's gotten a lot better, then you're almost in a situation where you can't cut him, I don't think, because he's doing the things you're asking him to do, and he's getting better. And that's all you want to see. If you prove to this coaching staff and the GM that you should be on this team, you're going to be on this team.
So I agree with you. I think that they're going to end up keeping all three because I think it's going to be really close at the end of the day between Levis and Willis. And here's another reason why. This is likely Tannehill's last year.
Yes.
It's a contract year for him. He hasn't really given the team and taken the team to where they want them to go. So I really see this as their last year, and if it's so close between the two, and you've drafted both of them, you've watched Malik develop, you know what caliber of player that Will Levis can be, especially drafted him 33rd overall. I feel like they have to keep all three, and I think it's smart to keep it all three, especially with the injury luck that this team has. So let's move over to the running back position. Joe Rexrode has 4 running backs on this roster. Now I'm typically a guy where I like to see 3. I don't like to see 4 running backs. I don't think you need 4 running backs, and especially when you got a guy like Derrick Henry and the load that he's going to get, I feel like that 4th running back is a little bit unnecessary. So he's got Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, Jonathan Ward, and Julius Chestnut. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about Jonathan Ward, but I'm not going to sit here and say I know a lot about him. I do know about Julius Chestnut, and he was on this roster last year. He was kind of that 4th man teetering on the practice squad. They brought him up because they needed somebody to return kicks, and he's able to do that. So for me, I feel like they should go with 3, and I think they will go with 3. And then Chestnut's the guy just because of his special teams ability.
Yeah, the first 2 guys, they're on the team, Henry and Spears. I think after that, it's a toss-up. Now, Hassan Haskins didn't help himself with this off-the-field, off-season incident, this legal situation that he's in. But I'm going to hold all judgments until I hear everything, because I'm just not going to sit here and say, oh, he's guilty. No, there are things that we probably don't know that the Titans know.
Yeah.
So
you're innocent until proven guilty
exactly.
in this country, and the Titans believe that they're going to let due process do its
exactly.
thing. Vrabel and Rand Carthon both are in agreement with that they're going to let that play out.
Absolutely. So for what I've seen of Haskins last year, he's a strong, powerful runner. He has a burst. He can play special teams. He can catch the ball out the backfield, So he has an opportunity to make this team. Now, beside his ability on the field, I think what's going to determine it is what happens off the field. So I'm not solely sold on the last 2 guys. I think Haskins is still in the mix, but I think a lot of that has to do unfortunately, with his off-the-field incident. So that position for me is yet to be determined. But outside of Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears.
That and along with this, if Hassan Haskins had a lot more production last year, I feel like it would have been a lot, harder of an argument to move off of him. But, when he got the opportunities, it was 3.4 yards a carry. It was 3.
Well, the offensive line was horrible. So you can't blame that.
I do understand that. But, again, I think if he would have done a little bit more, maybe shown the ability to be more effective in the receiving game as well, maybe that could have been a bigger, more option. Let's move over to your position of expertise here.
Let's go.
In the wide receivers. Joe Rexrode has 6 wide receivers making the team. I think 5 of these are no question. The 6th guy will be up in question. But DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, Kyle Phillips, Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and last but not least, Racey McMath. Your thoughts on that?
I think this is pretty much, unless, somebody comes out of the woodwork and surprise the Tennessee Titans. But, I mean, guys like Colton Dow, Mason Kinsey, one of these guys, and there are a few other guys, unless they show the ability to be effective on special teams, which they will get an opportunity in preseason, then I think what Joe put here is pretty much spot on. With Racey McMath, he's the one guy that's going to be fighting till the end to make that roster spot, unless, again, he shows something in preseason that sort of elevates him in that room. But I think keeping 6, because you have your top 3 or 4, Hopkins, Burks, Phillips, and Moore. But even those guys, Phillips is going to have to play special teams. He's going to have to be a returner. He's going to have to show he can catch the ball. Chris Moore may have to do some special teams duties. Obviously, Nick Westbrook-Akina is the one guy that he's been here long enough, but he hasn't been entrenched into the special teams unit. So, watch Nick Westbrook-Akina. Because here's the deal. If you are the 4th or 5th wide receiver on this team, or any team, you got to be able to play special teams. Mm-hmm. He hasn't shown the ability to play special teams, Nick Westbrook-Akina. So really watch, because there may be a surprise guy that makes this roster. Mm-hmm. And it may be at the expense of Nick Westbrook-Akina. As much as I like him. As much as I like him.
See, I think Westbrook-Akina is going to make it just with his experience. But I like Colton Dowell over Racey McMath for one reason. Him and Will Levis have built a connection, and I feel like we might see more of Colton Dowell because of that connection in preseason, in the game when it matters, and Racey just simply hasn't proven enough. We're going to stay on this topic. Going into the final hour, we're going to kind of look at some of the defensive positions that Joe Rexrode has on his final 53-man roster. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Jasper's on West End Avenue is your neighborhood bar and restaurant. They offer a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, a large bar, lounge area, and patio seating, plus free parking. That's right, free parking on West End. Come into Jasper's today to enjoy their elevated bar fare and well-crafted cocktails. Happy hour Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, and now game night every second and fourth Thursday. Drop in anytime where you can win gift card prizes each week. That's Jasper's on West End Avenue, Nashville's place to gather, play, eat, and drink.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personalities of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Hour number 3 of Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park after first day of Titans training camp. Junior Riddle, Derek Mason, Nick Frazier out there doing the ones and twos back at the Game studio. Sponsored by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Excuse me. We were talking about Joe Rexrode's final 53-man roster. We got into the quarterbacks, whether they're going to keep 3 of them. Joe has 4 running backs on the roster, which with Derrick Henry, I have no idea why Joe would do that. And the receivers that we're going to be on. So we're going to move over to the defensive side of things. And, you know, part of all this is finding out how many players you are going to get for each position, D-Mase. And when you have 4 running backs, it's going to have to take away from something. So something that was really glaring to me on Joe's final 53-man roster was only 3 outside linebackers. He's got Harold Landry, Arden Key, and Rashad Weaver. And I feel like with who the Titans have brought to camp, that it's got to be more than that. Mm-hmm. And a guy for me in particular comes up, and that's Caleb Murphy. A guy out of Ferris State that had like 25 sacks this past year. Again, small school guy. But anytime you get 25 sacks in a season, that's pretty outstanding right there.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's rushing the passer is an art form. And if you can master that art form, you're going to have a long career in this league. The point of you know, the defense is to get to the quarterback, and there's a high premium on those guys. And if you can show that you can get to the quarterback consistently, then you're going to find yourself on somebody's roster. You know, whether you're a rookie guy trying to prove yourself or a veteran guy trying to prove yourself in this league. So they got guys, you know, if you just look at the starting unit, they got guys that have shown they can get to the quarterback. Now you need those backup guys because this Titan team does a lot of rotating with those units. So you got to always have people or individuals that are smart football players, attentive to detail, but they can get to the quarterback.
No, and I totally agree with you. I just think that outside linebacker, especially in the 3-4 scheme that the Titans run, is one of the most important positions on the field, because when you talk about this defense and you see what they did last year, ranked 32nd in the NFL in pass defense, a lot of that had to do with injury. But what's the best thing to do when you have a secondary that was as inconsistent as this unit was last year? And that's being able to get to and disrupt the quarterback. So I feel like that has to be really important on the pecking order of things. So I feel like that they have to have at least 4 guys there at the pass rushing position. And for me, it's Caleb Murphy, no question. But a position we spoke about a little bit earlier is the inside linebacker position. And this is the area of the defense that, as the NFL is changing and growing, this position has seemed to get kind of like left in the dust, kind of like the running back position, but on the defensive end of it. And that's the inside linebacker position. They're the heart of the defense. They're calling the plays. They're the quarterback on that side of the ball, but they kind of get overshadowed. So here's who Joe Rexrode has at inside linebacker. He has 4 guys. Monty Rice, who's a third-round pick from a few years ago, but struggling with some injury. Azeez Al-Shaair, who they picked up in free agency out of the 49ers. He's a rotational piece. Chance Campbell, who showed some promise last year, and Jack Gibbons, who Vrabel spoke of specifically this year, who was getting some pretty significant reps in 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. So your thoughts on that?
Well, this is a group that needs to prove themselves with the Tennessee Titans. I'm not saying prove themselves because the only guy, Monty Rice, got some snaps, a lot of snaps last year because of injuries at that position. So he proved that, he could be a player inside of this defense, inside of a Shane Bowen defense. Now you're looking at Azeez Al-Shaair, who comes in from San Fran. And, Rand Carthon knows a lot about him. He played in an aggressive style defense. And this is an aggressive style defense with the Tennessee Titans. So you expect him to, now that his role has expanded here with the Titans, you expect that production to expand as well. Now, listen, the wild cards here is Campbell and Gibbons. What are they going to get from these guys? Not just from a special team standpoint, because they got to be able to play special teams. These need to be some of your core special teams guys, whether it's punt return, kickoff, punt. These have to be some of your core guys. But what are they giving me from a defensive standpoint? Because, listen, the Tennessee Titans they've been the most injured team over the last 2 years. So in your mind, you got to go in as a head coach, not hoping for injuries or stuff like that, because no coach hopes for them, but you got to be prepared for it. So you got to get guys in there on your roster in those backup roles that are capable of being starters. Just because you're a backup doesn't mean you remain a backup. You may play yourself into a starting role, or like me, injury happens and then you become a starter and don't relinquish that starting position.
Yeah.
So it's going to be key who they have behind Monty Rice and Azeez Al-Shaair.
Well, and that's another thing, too, is, with a guy like Monty Rice and all the things that he's been through and his lack of availability since getting drafted to this Titans team, I look at a guy like Jack Gibbons as somebody who's played the green dot and has some experience due to injury, like you mentioned last year, to have the opportunity to take that step up. And another thing you mentioned that I really liked was talking about special teams and the impact that some of these depth players have. Well, I think Chance Campbell, the reason he will be making this team is because of that. Last year, he was a big-time special teams player and made some significant plays on that, which I think is the reason why he is still here now. Now, he also made some plays that I saw while I was here in training camp last year that makes me think that he could also be a rotational piece. So I think this is the forward that it's going to be, and it's going to take something actually significant to change that, and all for the reasons that we just mentioned. Now, when I look at corner and safety, there's not a lot of surprises to me. But a position that isn't going to be talked about a lot, and it's not going to make the headlines, but it is very important, is the kicker position. And as of right now, Joe Rexrode has Caleb Shudak as the kicker. And if you don't remember from last year, Caleb Shudak played in one game because Randy Bullock was injured, and that was the Jacksonville Jaguars game. That was at home in Nissan Stadium. I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that he was 1 of 2 of field goals, and he missed like a 37-yarder in that game. So from what I saw in that one game, and again, it's one game, it's one bad day, I'm not as big on Caleb Shudak. Now, the guy he's going up against in training camp is Trey Wolff. He's 6'3", he's long, he's got a big leg, and he's coming out of Texas Tech, an undrafted guy. My guy Easton Freeze, who I brought up earlier, he's done a lot of scouting when it comes to the NFL draft. He thinks it's Trey Wolff's job to lose. I think the Titans, as of right now, are kind of looking towards Caleb Shudak. But for me, I'm really looking at this Trey Wolff guy with his capability and his upside as maybe he can be that guy that's a diamond in the rough. Kind of how Ryan Stonehouse was when he came in. Nobody knew who he was, but he showed his stuff and he earned a spot on this team. And I think that Trey Wolff can kind of do the same thing.
Well, I mean, that position, is one of those positions where if you don't get talked about as a good thing, that means you're doing your job. You're doing it the way you're supposed to. If you're a lot of times, if you're getting talked about, that means you're doing something bad unless you're Justin Tuck and you're kicking 85-yard field goals at ease.
Setting NFL records,
exactly. Then they're going to talk about you all the time, the good stuff. But typically with kickers, they're only talking about you when you miss a field goal or things of that nature. So I don't know who's going to be the kicker, whether it's Wolff or Caleb Shudak. Right now, he's in the driver's seat. They like him, so they're going to give him an opportunity. He gets the first crack at it. But unfortunately for the Tennessee Titans, this has been a revolving door with the place kicker for the last few years. They haven't quite found a guy that they can rely on week in and week out. And I'm not talking about the PATs or, the 30 yards. I'm talking about the 40-plus.
Yeah.
You need kickers that can give you good accuracy from 40 plus.
Because you know this league, D-Mase. You know that oftentimes it comes down to the 2-minute drill. Sometimes it comes down to a final kick. And when an offense has worked so hard to march you down the field and put you in position, the most frustrating thing is not having a kicker that has the ability to go out and win the game for you. So that's something that the Titans are going to be looking towards. So let's go over to the phone lines. We got some text talking about Joe Rexroth's 53-man projections for the final roster. Adam from Portland texts in. He says, Junie, I think it would be really goofy if the Titans kept a player because he had chemistry with our third-string quarterback. I hope McDowell makes it because McMath hasn't shown anything, but I don't think rapport with Levis is good enough reason. Come on, Junie. So, Adam, I mean, you got to listen to what I said here. I said I think he's going to make the team because of his rapport with Levis, not just because they're buddy, and they're going to put him on like, oh, the guy we just drafted is our friend, or their friend, so we're just going to put him on the team to appease him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I think Colton Dowell can show a little bit more production because he's worked with Levis. They've worked out together. They hang out together. They study film and work on the playbook together. They were roommates for a bit in rookie minicamp, and I think that could turn into more production on the field. I mean, we just heard D-Hop yesterday talking about how chemistry with a quarterback is key to success on the field. And so that's where I kind of get that translation and think, if it's close between Racey McMath and Colton Dowell, I'd rather go with the more unproven product than go with the guy that's been here and hasn't had, the health aligned for him, and also the productivity to go along with it when he's in.
Yeah, it's going to be, this receiving core, that bottom half, is going to be a fight. Racey McMath, I think, has the upper hand because he's been here. But also that can work against you because you've been here and you haven't elevated yourself past the bottom half of the roster at the receiver position. So I think right now he does have the upper hand, meaning Racey McMath. And, only Racey McMath will change that. This need to be a camp that he comes in and prove his worth, prove that he belongs on this team, prove that he can be a viable option in his offense if one of these top 2 or 3 receivers go down. And, McDowell has to do the same thing. They need to have rapport with Ryan Tannehill. I hope they don't have rapport with Will. I hope they do have rapport with Will Levis, but I hope Will Levis never plays this season, So I think a lot of it will depend on what these guys do out here in practice, but more importantly, what are you doing when those lights come on during preseason, whether it be a Thursday or a Saturday game? What are you doing? How are you showing up? Yeah, you may have done some things in practice. I've seen a lot of practice players, but then when the lights turn on preseason, on the regular season, they shrink. So I want to see what you do out here, the receiving corps. But then again, I want to see you what is it that you're taking from the practice field and it's translating into on the playing field when it comes time to go.
Wes from Hermitage also texts in on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, I know I'm going to sound crazy when I say this, but you have to put Colton Dow on this team. This dude is absolutely hungry, and his passion for just the sport and playing the sport on a specific team is eye-catching. I really think he deserves an opportunity to go out there and prove himself. I have faith in the kid. He is a local guy. Mm-hmm. He grew up in Lebanon, so he grew up really close, grew up a Titans fan, and played college, really, really close to here locally. So, he's a Titans fan. He wanted to be a part of this team. He wanted to get drafted here, and he ended up in the 7th round when they finally addressed the receiver position. So another thing about him is his relative athletic score was off the charts. You're talking about a guy that's 6'4", runs a 4.4. His bench press was really impressive. I think he was one of the top bench pressing wide receivers. So he's got strength. He's got speed. And if he could just implement that and put that onto the field, I really do think he's got a solid chance to make this team.
Well, if it was the 5th, we all be drunk. You're describing basically Racey McMath. And Racey McMath, up until this point, hasn't been able to prove that he can be a contributor on this team from the wide receiver position. And I hear all these good things about McDowell, but listen, I don't care how strong and fast you are. It helps, but I don't care how strong and fast you are and, off the charts. If you can't produce on a football field, if you can't show it on a football field, then you might as well just be a workout warrior. Might as well go get your training license and start training, people around town, and getting them going, because all of that means nothing when you step on this football field and you can't put it all together. Racey McMath hasn't been able to put it all together. He has to in order to make this roster. And I think anybody else on that bottom half, I don't care how talented you are, if you can't put it together once you cross them lines, I don't want you on my team.
Coming up next, we spoke to Arden Key directly after Titans practice today. We're going to re-air that so that you all can listen to that if you missed it earlier in the show. But first, tune into 102.5 and 106.3 The Game for weekly driver interviews leading up to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix presented by Lincoln Tech's NADC and the Nashville Sheriff. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix will be 3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. Go to the MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event on August 4th through the 6th. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about
Sports Talk 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The spring menu is here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, featuring their signature cast iron pie with herb roasted chicken, English peas, carrots, potato, simple greens, and a toasted biscuit crumble topping. Or garden succotash with snap peas, black-eyed peas, roasted peppers, sweet corn, tomato, and caramelized onion. Or try the steak fritas with pan-seared ribeye. Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily till 2 with brunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 till 2.
For more than 100 years, Lincoln Tech's NADC in Nashville has helped people transform their lives by learning the skills they need to build a brighter future. While the skills, tools, and jobs have changed, one thing hasn't: Lincoln's ability to adapt their auto, diesel, and heavy equipment maintenance programs to meet the hiring needs of America's employers. Put your potential to work and enroll now for July classes at Lincoln Tech's NADC. Visit lincolntech.edu for info and to schedule a campus tour.
I Am a Difference Maker is helping families with overwhelming financial crises, ranging from medical bills, drug and alcohol addiction, sexual abuse, natural disasters, suicide prevention, and much more. They're a small grassroots 501c3 created to help people in times of need before life becomes unbearable. I Am a Difference Maker believes that through working together, we can connect with each other and strengthen the community through the love that is shared. 100% of donations go to families in need. Find out more at IamADifferenceMaker.today.
Tuning into the baseball game, monitoring the incoming storm, catching your favorite talk show. These are just a few of the reasons more than 80 million Americans depend on AM radio each month. And did you know AM radio is the backbone of the emergency alert system, keeping us safe in dangerous times? It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase live from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Complex at Titans Training Camp. Junie Riddle filling in for Caroline and Willy, and we got D-Mase here as always. Nick Frazier back at the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studio. Guys, happy first day of training camp. How we doing?
Hey, we're doing wonderful. Nice day outside. We get a nice breeze here, but it's still hot as fish grease out here.
It is hot as fish grease out here, D-Mase, but I'll tell you this. This cloud, the clouds overshadowing the sun right now, is a blessing from above. Oh,
absolutely.
Because without it and without this breeze, I personally don't know what I would be doing. I think I'd be melting like Frosty the Snowman out here.
Yeah, it's a tad bit hot, but this is nothing but football weather right here.
Absolutely.
Junie, and you got to love it. It's good for the conditioning. But we're here at Titans practice, first practice of the year, right before the season gets started. Practice is over with now. They're in the huddle, and I'm sure Vrabel is giving them a lot of, talking points and whatnot. So, I'm sure it was a good first day for a lot of the guys, just to sort of work out the kinks, work out some of those bugs, and for the rookies to get that rookie jitter out of you, even though the rookies were here prior to the veterans come, but the atmosphere, the tone of the practice changes once the veterans come into the building. So I know those rookies were trying to work off a little bit of those butterflies.
Yeah, 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We want you to text in your questions all day long about what we saw here at training camp. And D-Mase, I will tell you this. I came in today knowing that they were going to be in shorts and jerseys, no pads. So I wanted to really kind of hone in on the offense, quarterbacks and wide receivers in particular, because, it is really hard to kind of see what the defensive guys can do at this point in time until, pads can come on and we can hear some popping out on the field. So, offensive line I also got to look at as well, and some interesting things, some interesting spots about who was filling in some starting lineups today. So we're going to get into all of that. Arden Key will come over here as soon as practice is let out. They're sitting out in the middle of the field meeting as a team right now, waiting to break. And we also have Ryan Tannehill and Kevin Byard coming up in the press conference, and you will hear that right here on our airways as well.
Yes. Again, I would love to hear what Arden Key has to say with his first practice, full practice with the Tennessee Titans. And see how he's taken to the defense. Because, again, it's different, when you're in mini camps and then coming to training camps. The vibe, the feel, everything, the tempo is just so different. So I would love to see what his first day experience was like here with the Tennessee Titans.
And I'll tell you this, DeAndre Hopkins spoke to the media yesterday and made a couple comments about the narrative about him not practicing. Mm-hmm. And first day of training camp, guess what? Mm-hmm. He's out here. He's doing all the drills. And one of the first plays that I saw that Tannehill was making passes to with his receivers, I believe it was in some 7-on-7 stuff, first play was DeAndre Hopkins for a first down. I mean, it seems like already they are trying to start building that connection to see where they can kind of go with things and really grow to get the most out of this offense. Because we know with that addition, it's really going to change the dynamic of what this team is going to look like.
Yeah, it changes everybody's role on the offense from a pass-catching standpoint. Now you have a bona fide pass catcher. Now how will he sort of immerse himself into this offense and in his playbook, even though he does know this playbook somewhat because he's been in it before, but I'm sure there are some changes in there that Tim Kelly has made, and he will, sort of implement those changes, and it's up to D-Hop to get himself up to speed. So there we go.
All right, so Arden Key has just sat down with us, so the brand new outside linebacker, free agent this year that we got from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Arden, how was the first day of training camp today?
Oh, man, it was a good day today. It was high on energy today. It was a little hot, but we got through it.
The clouds are a blessing, right?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
It can't be Jacksonville high.
Oh, no, the sun wasn't out, but it is humid out here.
Yeah. So Arden, I got to ask you, man. You come from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your role last year was more of the rotation kind of guy. I feel like your role is going to be a little bit more expanded here on this defense. Can you kind of talk about how excited you are to get that opportunity?
Oh, man, I'm excited because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity I've been looking for the last 2 years. And I finally got it, so now I have to capitalize on it.
So playing guys on this defense, we know this defense likes to play at a high level. What is it like being out there with guys like Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard, knowing that you're probably, if this team stays healthy, that you could be playing with one of the better defenses in the league this year?
It's great. I mean, last year they was in the top 5 categories in all categories on defense. So it's good for me to come in and just add on to it, not build anything or create anything. I'm just here to add on to it, and it's good to be around guys like Jeffrey, who is similar to me as far as Energizer Bunny and just being energetic and talking junk. So yeah,
we're talking with Arden Key, the new Tennessee Titans outside linebacker. Now, what is there any difference in regards to sort of the speed and the style of play? From Jacksonville to here, because watching Jacksonville, they were very aggressive. A bunch of young guys running around making plays, and you guys had a, really good defense last year. So is there any similarities or is there any differences?
It's different. It's a difference. Tennessee reminds me of San Fran. Mm-hmm. Front seven take over. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It starts with the front seven, and it's going to end with the front seven. Mm-hmm. So that's the similarity in the defense here today.
Okay. Now, what is it about Shane Bourne that makes this? Because when he was, put here as the actual defensive coordinator, this defense started to turn around. This defense started to become more aggressive. And as you said, that front seven became a dominant front seven in this league. So what is it about Shane Bourne?
I think he knows that to be a great defense, you got to have a great front seven. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at the past teams that won the Super Bowl, that made it there, it's all about the defense. It's all about the front seven. The front seven come alive, then 9 times out of 10, that team wins that Super Bowl. So, and then before the DC, he was the outside linebacker coach. So he knows real well how the front seven supposed to look and how it is.
So last year, Arden, you made some big plays against this Titans offense, and we know that one of the weak points of this team last year was its offensive line. Coming into camp and being on the team this year and lining up with some of these tackles that you're going against, what are you actually seeing from some of these guys, and are you hopeful that they can kind of take that next step and improve from last year?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's always the front seven. We feel like if we beat them every day in practice, they'll get better. They'll get better because this is one of the top front sevens in the NFL right now. I'm speaking it right now. It's one of the top defenses in the NFL, and I feel like if we keep attacking them, they're going to get better.
Now, you mentioned it, and I've heard from other people. This is my first day out here at practice, so I haven't seen it until today. But are you going to be the Energizer Bunny of this defense? Are you trying to compete every single day to make sure you're out shouting some of these older veterans that have been here for a while?
Definitely. I mean, it's really not a competition to me. I'm just being me. That's just me. On the field and off the field, you're going to hear me before you see me, like I always say. And that it's not a competition with who's going to be the Energizer Bunny. That's just me. And I guess just being me, I took on that role, so now I'm here.
Now, you said there's a lot of similarities in what you guys did in San Fran to what you guys doing here in Nashville with the Tennessee Titans. But each stop along your way in your career, what have you picked up that you brought here to the Tennessee Titans?
The mindset. Everything started in practice. I mean, we can't go out here and just show up on game day. You got to apply the work out here on the football field and just study. And then it was the film as well. Studying the film, learning how to study your opponent, learning what their weaknesses is and what their strength is, and then attack the weakness.
Now, I know it's the first day, but what do you think of this Tennessee Titans offense? And like you said, listen, if you guys go out and do what you need to do from a defensive standpoint each and every practice, you're going to make this offense better because you consider, especially this front seven, as one of the best front sevens in the National Football League.
Yeah, I like the offense. Just coming from spring up until now, it has gotten better, a whole lot better, actually. I feel like the offense, they're gelling now. Everything is coming in. At first, it was early. It was new. Everything was new, had a new OC, stuff like that. But now everything is gelling. I like where we're headed.
So one of the last questions I want to get to you, Arden, before you got to go. What was it that brought you here to Tennessee? Was it that relationship with Rand Carthon back from San Francisco? Was it Mike Vrabel, playing your position in the past, being the head coach? What was something that lured you here to go to the division rival after playing in Jacksonville?
All those aspects. And then I don't think a lot of people remember, but I came here for 30 visit coming out of college, coming in, getting drafted. I came here, talked to Mike, and this was one of the teams that I wanted to get drafted to. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and it's funny how things come back around.
Absolutely. That's Arden Key, everybody, outside linebacker, new addition from free agency. Arden, thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us today. Best of luck the rest of training camp.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That was Arden Key again, everybody. Coming up next, that was the interview with Arden Key earlier today. Coming up next, D-Mase and I, we want to revisit the conversation of where the Titans are in the AFC South, in the AFC. We're going to talk about some sleeper teams. We're just going to get into that conversation with this ultra-stacked conference coming up next. But before we go, Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years and over in Tennessee to bet. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And then you have your live read next.
The Vanderbilt Commodores are ready
I
for
read
year
your mind.
3 under head coach Clark Lee.
As we
You the
stand
man.
now in front of a clean sheet. Our goal is postseason play.
And we are your home for all of the action.
Touchdown, Vandy. The doors on the board. Vandy, 24-21. Your final.
Vanderbilt football lives on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday, and it's D-Mase for Zen Sports, the new sports book in Tennessee that's bringing the cash back to Nashville. Or better yet, should I just say Cashville? Zen Sports is revolutionizing the way you earn sports betting rewards. On Zen Sports, what you see is what you get. And with their cash reward program, you get a lot of cash. For a welcome bonus, earn an unlimited 5% cash back on your betting volume for your first 15 days when you sign up with the code D-Mason. That's D-M-A-S-O-N. That's right. Unlimited 5% cash back. Keep betting and keep earning with up to 3% cash back on your betting volume every month after that. And refer friends to earn a percentage of their betting volume as cash rewards. No credit, people, just straight cash. Zen Sports is bringing the cash back to Tennessee. So if you're betting big on sports, you want to be betting on Zen Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older in Tennessee to bet. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Zen Sports. Betting just got better.
My student organization was suspended from campus for criticizing the Chinese government. We knew our free speech rights were being violated. That's why we teamed up with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. FIRE launched a full-scale campaign. They talked to the media, sent letters to the school's president, and put billboards up around campus telling our story. That's what FIRE does. They defend everyone's right to free speech. Defend free speech at thefire.org.
Paid for by thefire.org.
We pride ourselves on being transparent, opening up the books, and sharing all the secrets of the diamond industry. We have a passion for this, and part of having a passion is sharing that passion.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper says, at Genesis, you don't just get an entry-level course in diamonds, you get a PhD.
We love educating our customers, even over-educating our customers about diamonds and gemstones, so they can truly see the difference in what we offer.
At Genesis, diamonds are not a side business. It's their only business.
We eat, breathe, and sleep diamonds.
So whether you end up buying at Genesis or not, come for the education.
The better educated we can make you at Genesis Diamonds, the better a shopper you're going to be, whether you shop with us or anyone else. You will be able to tell the difference and know what you are buying, so you make the best decision for you.
Genesis Diamonds, proud to offer one of the largest selections of GIA certified diamonds in the nation, with no middleman markups, no retail pricing games, no commission salespeople, and no nonsense. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series at Norfolk. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win. Pre-game at 5:20.
On your home of Nashville Sounds baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back into Caroline. Willy and D-Mase. Junie Riddle filling in for Caroline, and Willy, Derek Mason here as always. And Nick Frazier is back in our Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. We want you to weigh in on this next topic. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We want to get into the AFC and the AFC South. And guys, listen, I know. We've been talking about this all summer long. But the Titans just acquired DeAndre Hopkins. Mm-hmm. And for me, this changes everything. I know some people, and I think Derek might feel this way, that it's not as significant as a change as it's being hyped up to be, but it still should be in the discussion. Now, Derek, you and I are both considered the Jacksonville Jaguar Bobos of our station, the guys that are most high on the Jags this year.
Well, I wouldn't consider myself a Bobo.
I know you wouldn't consider yourself, but I'm just telling you that's what the listeners and some other people on our station think of us, because we think highly of Trevor Lawrence and that team.
If you think of me as a Bobo, then the hell with you, But beside that, I know what you're saying. They would think we speak too highly of Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I just, I speak from a place of just, I call it how I see it. I think the Titans are a interesting team this year because they have new faces at key positions.
Yeah.
And we want to see, even though some of these new faces have produced in this league, you still want to see how they mesh with this unit that they have now. So the Titans will always be competitive, I believe, no matter what. I can't sit here and tell you what their record is going to be, but I think if you just break it down from 11 on 11, 22 versus 22, I think Jacksonville Jaguars has the slight edge. And when you're talking about 11 on offense and 11 on defense, I think they have a slight edge. So I hope the Titans can go out there and, win, 11, 12 games and win the South. But it's going to be harder to win it than in prior years because of what Jacksonville has been able to do. And listen, they didn't start off great last year. They were figuring things out. They were losing a lot of close games. But then the second half of the season, they figured it all out. And those close games they were losing, they started to win. And I don't think many people understand and realize that this game is a game of inches. And the Titans have won their share of close games, and they've lost their share of close games. I don't think there hasn't been many situations where the Titans have got blown out or they've blown out somebody. But we look at the Titans as a team that is still capable of competing, not just for the South, but competing. Why aren't we saying the same thing about Jacksonville? Because at the beginning of the season last year, Jacksonville was losing close games. That game against Philadelphia, Jacksonville should have won that game, and they ended up losing it. Why? Because it was a young team, young quarterback, still figuring things out with a first-year head coach. Albeit Doug Peterson's a hell of a coach, Super Bowl winning coach, they still was young. Second half of the season, they started to figure it out, winning those close games. Last game of the season, I expected what I saw, a close game by division rivals. Whenever you play someone within your division, it's going to be the hard thing. I don't care if it's Houston. I don't care if it's Indianapolis. It's going to be a hard game.
Well, and that's the thing is Houston has sucked for the last couple of years, and they've beaten the Titans once the last 2 years. So it's like anything can happen in these divisional games. You really kind of have to look at how these teams, how Jacksonville matches up against other teams in the NFL compared to you. And for me, when the schedule came out, when Michelle was still here, we were doing our show on the weekend, and we went through and we made our way too early predictions. And I said, I think this is an 8-9 team, respectfully.
Okay.
And that was because there were so many question marks at receiver. There was so many question marks with the offensive line and the turnover. Now I think it's a little bit closer. Because now with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, and we talked about it, throughout the show, and how that bumps, the rest of the receivers down the depth chart, that kind of eliminates that issue for me because I kind of like where they sit with the receivers, with the young guys, and I expect these guys to step up. Now, you made a key point here, and you talked about key positions, new players in key positions. That's the difference right now between Jacksonville and the Titans for me. The key positions in the league for me in today's game are going to be edge rusher, corner on defense. On offense, it's going to be number one wide receiver, left tackle, and quarterback. And I think Jacksonville is more solidified in those positions on their roster than they are. They just drafted Trayvon Walker. They've had Josh Allen for years as edge rushers. I think with where the Titans are right now, Harold Landry coming off an ACL, they got him there. Trevor Lawrence or Ryan Tannehill. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. I think he's got a lot more upside. I think he's on the rise. And we've seen Tannehill for a long time. Number one wide receiver. Can you make the case that DeAndre Hopkins could be the best? Yes, but we don't know what he's going to look like in this system and with his age. And I would say as a receiving core, in totality, I would take Jacksonville. And then cornerback, both cornerback rooms are kind of rough. I'm not going to lie to you. But it just kind of goes to show you. And left tackle Cam Robinson is, he's been a proven starter. He's been signed to a long-year deal. Andre Dillard, he's kind of a first-round pick that is still trying to find his way throughout this league. So we're looking at key positions here, and I'm looking at Jacksonville like, yeah, they kind of got it going on there. But for me, it's close. It's really, really close now, to where before D-Hop, for me, it was not.
It was close before D-Hop. I'm not going to say it was extremely close, but I think it was close. It wasn't like, Jacksonville was on level 10 and Tennessee was on level 3. it wasn't that far apart. It was more like, to me, Jacksonville's on 10, and I'm just picking 10 as a random number, as a whole number. I'm picking Jacksonville as a 10, and the Tennessee Titans right now, to me, is a 7.
Yeah.
So to me, there's still some space between the two teams. Now, what happens during the season? Anything can happen during the season. Guys get injured. Things can happen, and then all of a sudden, now what you thought was going to be ends up not being. Things that you thought was going to work out ends up not working out. But I look at the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars from this standpoint, and you mentioned it, Junie. If we're talking 11 on 11, who has the better 11 on offense? I think Jacksonville clearly has the better 11 on offense. It's not as close as many want to think. That trio of receivers, Kirk, Ridley, and Jones, I think they are one of the better groups of receivers. I think they are a top 10 receiving group, I'm saying, as a whole. They're a top 10 receiving group. The Titans have a ways to go. Now, if Traylon Burks comes around, if Kyle Phillips can produce the way we believe he can with D-Hop, then they can elevate themselves as the season goes. But as we sit now, I'm taking that group. Tight ends, I'm taking Evan Ingram. As much as I love Chikakonkwo, and they need to feed him the ball more, because to me, he's Delaney Walker 2.0. Right now, Evan Ingram is the more proven commodity. Now, the offensive line, Cam Robinson is going to be suspended. Nicholas Petit-Frere is suspended. So the offensive line, Jacksonville may have the edge on that one, but it's still close to me. They lost one of their left tackle. They lost their left tackle from last year, but he wasn't as good as many think or believe he is. If that was the case, Jacksonville Jaguars would have signed him back, but he went to the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think from an offensive standpoint, Jacksonville has the better offense. Now, it starts to get a little closer because of the defense with Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, and Kevin Byard. Let's just say those three guys. Mm-hmm. Those are guys those are dudes. Those are guys that can play. I didn't mention Harold Landry because Harold Landry's coming off injury. I need to see what Harold Landry's going to be after the injury. I'm not going to, jump in here and say, oh, Harold Landry's going to be back to form, because history tells me it's going to take him at least half the season or at least another full year to get back to where he was. Not to say he's going to be a bad player, but he's not going to be the player, I believe, that he was prior to the injury. It may take him a little bit longer to get back to that. So that's why I didn't mention Harold Landry. But they have their problems on the outside with their corners. More importantly, them staying healthy. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville, they have healthy corners. I forget one of their corners, I believe, he was in the top, top 5 in pass defended.
Yeah.
So they have a young group of corners and safeties that have been playing good football. Now, I'm going to take the Titans safeties over Jacksonville safeties. Hell, I'm going to take the Titans safety over a lot of safeties in the National Football League.
One of the better duos in the league.
Yeah, led by Kevin Byard, and Amani Hooker is there as well. But I just think as a whole, when you look at these two teams, if you're looking at 11 on offense, 11 on defense, with the head coach, I think Jacksonville has the edge. I think Doug Peterson is a hell of a coach. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. And what he did with that squad last year after the debacle they had the year prior, it only to me means good things more moving forward if they can stay healthy, just like the Tennessee Titans. If they can stay healthy, then I think this division is going to be a lot more competitive than what many believe it. And I mean, when I mean competitive, I even mean the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. Again, I'm not saying that those two teams are going to the playoffs or anything, but just like I said about Jacksonville last year, they're going to stand in the way from somebody else not making the playoffs because they beat them.
So all in all, we think with the additions the Titans have made, they have closed the gap a little bit to the Jags, but I think we're both in agreement that right now Jacksonville is on the rise and we expect them to take that next step going into year 2 with Doug Peterson. Tune into the Chase McCabe Show and Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase this Friday as they broadcast live right here from Titans training camp this Friday. They'll get player interviews and deliver the latest updates with Titans practice as the team preps for the 2023 season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, and Cottle Vet Clinic. You're listening to Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad. It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
We buy any car.
Selling your car by yourself can lead to some strange encounters.
So how many bodies does this car hold? Bodies? It's a 5-passenger car. Right. Passengers.
Don't deal with selling it yourself. Come to WeBuyAnyCar.com instead. It's easy. You get in, get out, and get paid at a fair price.
I sell mannequins. Oh, what'd you think? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Get your free online valuation now at
WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Hey, Tennessee, when you bet on Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in town, you get the best reward possible. Cold, hard cash. You bet with your own money, so why accept anything less from your rewards program? With Zen Sports, you earn cash on your bets, cash on your referrals bets, and a welcome bonus in, you guessed it, cash. So stop settling for Vegas rewards when we're in Tennessee. Cash in your old sportsbook for Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you later. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Mom, we're out of potato chips.
Teenagers, they'll eat you out of house and home, kind of like health insurance, which can take a big bite out of the family budget. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available.
Can we order pizza?
Visit FBHP.com or your local Farm Bureau office today.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Joyland in East Nashville. Joyland burgers will melt in your mouth, the fries are crispy goodness, and the milkshakes are sure to satisfy any sweet tooth. Get half off a $30 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals while supplies last. Final segment of the day. And I asked Derek, I was like, what do you want to do for the last segment of the day? And he's like, let's go through some of these big-time NFL headlines. So the first one that came out yesterday was Justin Herbert signing an extension. And I'm trying to pull it up here. It was like
it's
a big-time
5 years,
headline. 5 years,
$262.5 million.
And the guaranteed money is $218.7 million. And that is a crazy amount of guarantee because Lamar Jackson, when he signed earlier this year, $260, so only $2.5 million AAV, but only $185 guaranteed.
Yeah. But, I mean, quarterbacks, unless you just bomb out, you're going to get your money. That's a position that's going to get you money, regardless if you sign guarantee money or not. You're going to get your money unless you get hurt. So I'm not too much when it comes to quarterbacks and these quarterbacks signing these big deals, these sort of these upper echelon quarterbacks signing a big deal. To me, yes, you got your guarantee money, but if you're signing a 4 or 5 year deal, you're going to get all that money.
Yeah.
You're going to get every cent of it unless they, extend it and give you more money. So good for Justin Herbert. Now it's Burrow. What's going to happen with him? Because it's,
he's going to break the bank.
Yeah, because Justin Herbert's AAV is $50 million per. So I'm sure Burrow is going to be slightly above that number. And then, obviously, you got Trevor Lawrence coming up in 2 years, possibly. They probably try to get a deal done earlier than that because the money's going to continue to escalate.
It's going to really depend on how Lawrence does this year. He's going to have to take that step that a lot of people think he's going to take. But, again, he has to put it into fruition because his first year and a half in the league wasn't very good.
No.
And last year he really picked it up. He was one of the better quarterbacks with the better ratings towards the tail end of the season, so we will have to see with that. I do want to chat with you with this. Last thing we're going to get into before we have to go. Your thoughts on the running back position. Saquon Barkley was holding out. He's been coming out with all of these comments in the press. He ends up signing an $11 million deal with incentives to reach up to $13 million on a 1 year deal. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's good. I think Saquon, even though, to me, he's the most important person on that team because we've seen offense without him and we've seen offense with him, and it looks vastly different. We see Daniel Jones without Saquon Barkley, and we've seen Daniel Jones with Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley helped Daniel Jones collect that big contract that he got at the end of the season last season. So, but he was, it's unfortunate. He was in a no-win. I mean, he was sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do you hold out and give the, a la Le'Veon Bell and basically give money back to the New York Giants, or do you go out there, sign the deal, get them to up the money a little bit, and go out there and play? He chose to go out there and play. I think that was the right decision. I just hope they put in a clause where he can't be franchised again. He can't be franchised because, just because you sign a 1 year deal doesn't take away the Giants' ability to franchise tag you, and you're going to be in the same situation again next year.
Yeah, I just think with this whole Zoom meeting that they had, and he's only getting one more million extra dollars, guaranteed, thought it was a bit of a sellout move. I felt like if you're going to hold out and be about what you say. So regardless, the running back market, that's going to be something to look forward to. But that's all the time that we had today. Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase, Stillman and Company, up next.